Time for Stiles and Watkins.
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140. Find us on YouTube at Sactown Sports 1140.
It's time for Alan Stiles and Chris Watkins.
Yes. On a Thursday. Chris and Nate aren't here, so I can call it Friday Eve as much as I want. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Simone behind the glass for us today as we take you to the Friday that everyone wants to get to, and we are going to do our best to get you there in a timely manner. Shout out to everyone that is working hard today. Shout out to everyone that's been working from 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and beyond. Your day will be over soon, and we are going to do our best to get you there in a smooth way. And we start that in about 30 minutes with my guy and friend of the show, longtime friend of the show, Chris Biderman of the Sacramento Bee. He joins us at 10:30 to talk all things Niners and Kings. We will also get Brenden Nunes as promised. Brenden Nunes, will ask him about Nasir Little, who was released from the Suns, 6'6" wing. And we will have Brenden for not one, but two segments from 12 to 12:30. Brenden will break down his thoughts on the season and who the Kings have been working out, other names that might pop up on that list. So you definitely don't want to miss that. We get back into that CBS Sports Beyond the Arc podcast as they said something that might be fighting words here in Sacramento. They say that they do not consider Mike Brown a needle mover. But what does that mean, Alan? Well, we're going to find out. We're going to hear from them and break all of that down. We have some A's talk as well. Dallas Braden opens up about the A's time in Oakland ending, and he gets very, very emotional talking about that, and I can appreciate that for sure. We answer your ticket questions in about 5 minutes here, and also JT Ginn strikes out the side in his debut. Some great sound that we will play for you. But first, I ask the question, Simone, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. You know, you can't keep a good woman down, and I'm back, baby. The sub is back.
Well, there you go. Well, like I said, you know, and you actually missed one of the funniest.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was bad. So last week, we're doing shout outs and closeouts.
Sure. Friday.
Trying to figure out what I wanted to shout out because I was sick. People have been sick. Right now, we're dealing with something at home with the child care situation, being sick as well. So there's a lot going around. Sure. And that was before that the child care thing happened. It was just me and, my wife and the kiddo, everybody's dealing with something.
We're going through it.
So I'm trying to shout out just people feeling better. It got turned into me shouting out, according to Nate, shouting out Big Pharma. And people and Nate and Chris are roasting me, saying I shouted out Tylenol, and it was all bad. And
modern medicine.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure I finally beat my shout out to weather prior to Mother's Day.
Oh, really?
I don't know. They're both bad. They're both bad.
We got to do the top 5. I know we're doing that at 1 o'clock a little later, but
yeah, there's some bad shout outs out there. So that one is somewhere near.
Put that on the Mount Rushmore of bad shout outs. Okay,
yeah.
Noted.
It's unfortunate.
How did Kyle do? Did he make me proud?
Kyle, yes, he did. He did. Well, Kyle has been great. And I will have you tomorrow for shout outs and closeouts. So hopefully I can figure that one out. Whitey Gleason might stop by a little bit earlier than usual, as he did yesterday in that 1 o'clock hour. And we have a discussion that we've talked about in a different way. So when you see this list of top 15 small forwards, right, from Hoop Hype, and top 15 shooting guards from Hoop Hype, and you ask the question, how can a team have somebody from each position on this list, and we're sitting here hoping that they get into the first round? Something's got to give here. It either has to be that this is the toughest Western Conference in the last, 50 years, or I don't even really know what the other option is, or it's just really bad luck. Because when you read these different lists and you see Kings on this list, Kings on that list, but we're sitting here worried if the Kings are going to get to the first round, what is it? Is it that the Kings have too much good talent and not enough really good talent? What is it? So we have those numbers for you, and we will break all that down in the 11 o'clock hour. And we ask the question, as the Kings are all over this most miles run per game list, is how they play sustainable. The flow offense, okay, is there a reason they burn out? Is there a reason there's a really good quarter and a really bad quarter, or games where they just get completely obliterated by teams they have no business losing to? So we break all of that down throughout the show. And Keegan Murray finds himself on the Game Theory podcast, not on it, but he is featured as a top 24, under 24 player. That's with Sam Vecini. And Sam Vecini has something very unique that I haven't heard anybody talk about as it pertains to Keegan Murray, and something he did at Iowa that we have not seen him do once he got to the NBA. He's done a lot, but Sam Vecini says there's something else that Keegan Murray used to do that we want to see him start to do here in the third season of his NBA career. Let's get to this JT Ginn sound, and this is some really great stuff. JT Ginn struck out the side in his MLB debut. That is how you do it, an immaculate inning. Let's hear the call.
0-2. He got him! JT Ginn in his major league debut strikes out the side. And a very clean eighth inning of work. Welcome to the big leagues, JT Ginn.
Slice and dice, big dog. Let's go.
That's just great stuff right there. Slice and dice, big dog. And real quick, yeah, an immaculate inning, and I'm double checking this now. An immaculate inning is when you strike out the side with only 9 pitches. So I'll have to check on that. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it wasn't just 9 pitches, or they would have definitely said something, because there's a very short list of pitchers that have done that, but doesn't even matter, immaculate or not, striking out the side in your MLB debut. I mean, you got to be doing the Conor McGregor walk back to the dugout, because
Nasty.
I'm here. I'm just like Patrick Mahomes. I'm here. So shout out to JT Ginn. That is great stuff to do in your first outing. By the way, shout out to the text line and the Sac Chat and the call line, by the way, 916-339-1140. Chris isn't here. Okay, so we are we are even more open than we normally are to calls, texts, and we want you to be a part of this show.
Wait, can I ask a question about Chris's absence?
Sure.
Do you know where he's at or what he's doing?
So Chris, obviously, we know a lot of people know Chris's story. He's been at the company for a very long time. Yes. Chris has an infinite amount of PTO, and you got to make this guy take PTO. Yes. He'll just show up if you don't make him. So he found a good time to do it right before everything starts off. Yeah. And yeah, he's just enjoying himself. I think he golfed yesterday. I think he's going to golf throughout the week. It's staycation. Staycation. Respect. Dave had thrown to him possibly staying at one of Dave's 18 vacation homes, but I don't know if that turnaround happened fast enough. So yeah, Chris is somewhere in Sacramento just enjoying not being on the radio for a couple days.
Tight. Okay, I just needed to know.
No, there you go. So Chris will be back on Monday, and it will be Chris and I all throughout next week. And then after that Labor Day weekend, I will be the one gone. So you will have Chris throughout that weekend. Then I come back on that Friday to take everyone up to the weekend. So last week, there was a discussion with Susan Slusser and something that she put out as far as the A's and this whole, I guess, ticket gate and what is required in order to get season tickets, and do you have to buy River Cats tickets? So we have an update here, and this is from the A's, the A's seating option online. So here are some of the policies. So basically it says location, the 2025 A's season tickets, premium seating options, location options. Option 1, section 105 to 119, Legacy Lounge access in left field. Option 2, the Solon Club seating in right field. Pricing $15,000 to $20,000 per seat per season. So about $200 per seat per game. Includes premium seating, parking, food and beverage. Pricing locked in during A's duration in Sacramento. And here are the policies. The policies: must commit to A's duration in Sacramento. So I don't know if that means that you need to buy for the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Like, what if it extends longer than
right, because what is it, an option for a 4th year?
Right.
So policies, must commit to A's duration in Sacramento. That sounds like you can't just do it. Oh, I want to do it for the inaugural season and then get out. That's what it sounds like to me. Next policy, in-person appointment required to secure premium locations. Next policy, only full, no partial season packages offered. And then the last but not least, no requirement to also purchase River Cats season tickets. So maybe that first grouping had that requirement, but this grouping, which I believe is now live, you are not required to purchase River Cats season tickets. I mean, if you think about it, Simone, and you look at the problem is you're locked in, and that's why they're smart about this. Yeah. Because if this is me, 15 to 20 grand, so about $200 per ticket, I think I'm probably getting that money back, even though you're gonna even if on the Tigers and some of these the Angels, if you get Mike Trout back, there's definitely going to be days where you lose. But I think that on the Yankee, I think that for the first season, I think those Yankee days, I think that the Red Sox days, those days, I do believe you would at least come out in the green. Now, I don't know if you're going to walk away with $5 grand in your pocket, but I think you would come out in the green. I don't know if that's going to be the case, because some of these teams, like the Dodgers, they're not coming to Sacramento next season, but they'll come the season after. So I just have no clue what this is going to look like in 3 years, which would give me cause to pause. But I don't think it's a terrible gamble. Now, the thing becomes, if you decide you want to go, you can't. If you're trying to make money, you can't go to that Yankees game.
Yeah, no.
You can't. You have to sell that ticket. You have to. So I think that to circle back on what was going around yesterday as far as, oh, you have to buy season tickets, this premium seating option that just dropped, they do not need to buy River Cats tickets as well if you're interested in purchasing season tickets, but you are going to come off of 15 to 20K. Simone, you interested?
I was going to say, are you and Chris going to go in on a little package, a little deal? You know, little split action. And then half the time, these 1 o'clock start games, or forgive me, it's not exactly going to be 1 o'clock start games, right? Because it's in Sacramento and they have to time everything out. But
well, we can't go.
Exactly.
We can't go, but I don't know. I think that if I didn't have to be locked into all 3 to 4 years, that'd be different.
Yeah.
I have no clue what Detroit Tigers versus A's in the middle of August is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm trying to go to that game.
Well, I don't think you'll have a problem. If those tickets are going for $200 and somebody's buying, then yeah, I think that it's definitely worth it. But if not, it could be tough. But that answers, or we'll continue to try to answer your questions as it pertains to A's tickets. But yeah, it seems like the rumor as far as needing to also purchase the River Cat season tickets is not true, at least in this wave of ticketing. Coming up next, Matt Mayoko has some really optimistic words to say about Brandon Aiyuk, and Kyle Shanahan was on the Niners flagship talking about the Aiyuk contingency plan. Oh, brother. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sactown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win.
He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of those spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9 grand in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
We had some fun yesterday with the idea of these reports that keep coming out about Brandon Aiyuk and how ultimately nobody knows, right? But if there's one person that is maybe closer to knowing, there's a couple people that I would say, and Matt Mayoko would be on that list. I believe we had Matt Mayoko on the station either earlier this week or last week. Matt Mayoko is as locked in to what the Niners are doing as anybody else, Niners reporter for NBC Sports Bay Area. And on his podcast with Jennifer Lee Chan, he had this to say about Brandon Aiyuk, and people are feeling much more optimistic.
The biggest unresolved issues are the two biggest names on the team who haven't been on the practice field at all. It's Brandon Aiyuk and it's Trent Williams. And clearly, I think both of those situations should be wrapped up soon. I just get the sense that neither one of those guys, Trent Williams a lot longer than Brandon Aiyuk, but I just get the sense that they felt like they've been through enough training camps that they just didn't want to put the pads on. They didn't want to run around in the heat, and they're just ready for the regular season to start. And at some point, I think fairly soon, they'll be back in Santa Clara and back on the practice field.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson, Cal alum, Cal football guy from the Northern California. He said on ESPN that he spoke to Trent Williams and he said, yeah, he's going to be there soon. 49ers fans, don't worry. I don't know if I completely trust Deshaun Jackson as a source, but he did say he was on the phone with Trent Williams. So there is that. Brandon Aiyuk, I really, you and I have said it repeatedly that I think where he ends up playing 2024 is with the 49ers.
I am more on the side of Matt Mayoko when it comes to Trent Williams when he says, oh, they didn't necessarily want to put on the pads and all of that. When it comes to Brandon Aiyuk, I think it's more than that because Brandon Aiyuk is a young guy. Brandon Aiyuk is a competitive guy. You went out and you drafted, and I know he hasn't really played, but you drafted Ricky Pearsall. You're hearing all the talk about Debo being in the best shape of his life. You're here. Juwan Jennings gets brought back. So to me, Trent Williams being the elder statesman that he is, I believe that because Trent Williams is not in a battle with anybody, right? I think that if you're Brandon Aiyuk, you wanted to go out and show what you could do, even if it was in training camp. Not that you have to prove anything to anybody, but again, they took two receivers, Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall, and you still have Debo, and you got Juwan Jennings, you got Chris Conley. They go out and they get Robbie Chosen Anderson. So I believe that for Trent Williams. I don't necessarily believe that, or me personally, just my opinion, for Brandon Aiyuk, but it doesn't really matter because ultimately Matt Mayoko thinks that Brandon Aiyuk will be back with the Niners, and that's why I agree. So Simone, unless something has changed, and maybe something has today, but I haven't seen yet, but as of yesterday, there were only two teams that hadn't named a starter, okay? You want to know who those two teams are or were? And I haven't seen anything this morning. I've been trying to check. The two teams that have not named a starter yet.
Drum roll, please.
Very good. The Patriots and the Steelers. Literally, what are the chances the two teams that that were interested in Brandon Aiyuk or that Brandon Aiyuk had interest in, neither of them even know who their starting quarterback is going to be?
Curious.
So to me, you have so many tea leaves. You don't have a quarterback. You already said no to the Patriots. They tried to make you one of the put you in Justin Jefferson territory. You didn't want to do that. Now you have to deal with the Steelers team that wants to pay you less than $28 million, essentially what the Niners probably will pay you, but you have no quarterback. They haven't even made a decision between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, or they haven't officially named someone. So to me, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Aiyuk will be a 49er. It took a long way to get there, and was it completely necessary? Absolutely not. But to me, it's just a matter of time, right? I can disagree with Mr. Mayoko on why it took this much time, but it ultimately doesn't matter because we do agree on the fact that Brandon Aiyuk will be back in the red and gold. Two teams, both teams are saying we need someone to help save our quarterback position. And I'll tell you what, we're going to get into Davante Adams a little bit later. He's about to enter some rare air. But do you want to be a Davante Adams? Do you want to be a Megatron? These guys that just put up monster numbers. I know Larry Fitzgerald went to a Super Bowl, but these guys that just put up monster numbers, but it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that ring. And not even just not having the ring, competing, all right? And maybe the Steelers feel like, but Brandon, we bring you in, we will compete. So it's a chicken or the egg thing, but at the end of the day, if the Steelers aren't giving you more money than the Niners, then I don't even know what we're talking about. I truly have no idea what we're talking about. Kyle Shanahan was on the Niners flagship, and he had this to say about the contingency plan if Aiyuk isn't able to play week 1. He says, that's what we got everyone competing for right now. We have Juwan, who's done a lot of good stuff for us over the years. He's probably the first we would look to. Chris Conley has had a heck of a camp. Then we got these rookies who are all pushing. So, yes, I think the easy answer is that it would be Juwan Jennings. And if you're Brandon Aiyuk, I mean, I wouldn't take the chance, and we've named the wide receivers here time and time again. I would not take the chance, especially a Juwan Jennings, who he said he believes that he would have been the Super Bowl MVP if the Niners did hold on to win, and I agree with them. So you really want to have week 1 happen, Juwan Jennings balls out of control, Aiyuk, because now you're hustling backwards. If you don't play week 1 and Juwan Jennings goes off, you're cooked. Because the same way they talk about Brock Purdy and they say, Brock, what would he be without all these weapons? They say the same thing about you, Brandon Aiyuk. They say, well, you got to worry about Debo. You got to worry about Kittle. You got to worry about McCaffrey. You got to worry about all these guys. All right. So that's why Brandon Aiyuk always finds his way open. And you do not want to add to that narrative if you don't play and then somebody like a Juwan Jennings or even Chris Conley balls out. That would be scary hours there for one Brandon Aiyuk. Coming up next, Chris Biderman of the Sacramento Bee joins us to talk Kings and Niners. Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Malik Monk plays here.
Started left, goes right, steps back, launches the 3. Nothing but net. Oh, that was just filthy. Oh, my, that was sweet.
Sactown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Elk Grove Honda.
I'm Dirk Verdorn in the KCRA3 Weather Center. Expect mostly sunny skies today with winds on the increase as we go through the afternoon, 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting over 20 miles per hour, and temperatures ranging in the mid to low 80s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
At Elk Grove Honda, we've acquired some of the best pre-owned cars we can find. Whether you purchase a new Honda or a like-new pre-owned Honda, Elk Grove Honda has the right Honda at the right price. In the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 and Elk Grove Boulevard, or elkgrovehonda.com.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, when the A's blanked the Rays 3-0 on the 19th, it marked the A's 11th shutout this year, and that's third best in the American League. It also was their 54th win, so 16 more for 70. Now, the A's won just 50 games a year ago, so a 20-game improvement last year to this year, that would be pretty impressive.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver. That includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Hard Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
PGA.com Quick 9 ask readers to complete this sentence. Golf means more than a game. To me, it means... At number 9, the banter. People love the good-natured teasing that goes on. Number 8, it's hard to explain, but I don't want to be without it. Number 7, it's an obsession. I eat, drink, and sleep golf. Setting goals is next. At number 5, golf is life. It's a career for some, a passion for most, and a ticket to college for a lucky few. At 4 and 3, a place to relax and an escape. A place to feed my soul and find a peaceful solace. At number 2, a place to learn about ourselves and others. You'll learn more in 4 hours on a golf course than almost anywhere else. Number 1, a few priceless hours to spend with friends and loved ones. Responses included time with my dad, time with my husband or wife, time with my closest friends. It's hard to beat the company you share around with. So what do you think? Why is golf more than just a game to you? Finish this sentence. To me, golf means... I'll let you think about that. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Hey, listen up. Get ready for an incredible lineup of live music and events with the Sactown Sports live events calendar. First off, it's Michael Franti at the Backyard in Sacramento on August 23rd. And Soul Fest 24 Live will be at Thunder Valley August 24th. Then take a trip back in time with 80s Rewind at Thunder Valley on September 1st. September 4th, it's Montgomery Gentry bringing their rockin' country to the Crest Theater. Then Train and REO Speedwagon will be at the Toyota Amphitheater on September 6th. And the Doobie Brothers are appearing there on September 10th. Also on September 6th, check out live music at Crawdads on the Lake with Jared Neiman. And you don't want to miss the Lodi Grape Festival, September 12th to the 15th, featuring Joe Nichols and Smash Mouth. And you'll laugh out loud with George Lopez at Hard Rock Live Sacramento, September 21st. And looking ahead, it's Bad Religion at Hard Rock Live Sacramento on October 19th. And that's your Sactown Sports live events calendar, keeping you up to date on the hottest live shows in town.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
Get a handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10, 5, touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sactown Sports. Sacramento's official home for the San Francisco 49ers.
We are back, Stiles and Watkins. Just Stiles for the rest of the week. Chris Watkins enjoying some much-deserved time off. And we are joined by Chris Biderman of the Sacramento Bee. Chris, long time, no visit. Good to be back on the show, my guy.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Are we about to get hyphy on here? Is that what the lead-in intro music is leading me to believe?
Well, you know, it's funny because we've been having conversations. It's Simone behind the glass today, but Nate had a really terrible take. Nate didn't understand the Bay Area, and he had a take that he basically said, well, San Jose is the Bay Area, but Santa Clara, we got to stop at Santa Clara. And it was pretty rough. It was a pretty rough take.
Having lived in San Jose for a little while, I could probably say that a lot of the locals there would not appreciate that take.
I don't think. Well, Brenden Nunes, our own San Jose guy, wouldn't appreciate it. But we appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for joining. Let's start here. Let's start with the Kings, and then we'll go to the Niners. As far as the Kings are concerned, look, where we're at right now in the summer, everybody is looking for something to talk about. I mean, even the aggregators don't have anything to talk about. That's just what it is. Do you think this competitive workout with Isaiah Thomas and Lonnie Walker and Tony Bradley and JTA, do you think this competitive workout has been a little bit blown out of proportion, or do you think one of these guys might make some noise?
Yeah, I mean, JTA was on the team last year, and so there's certainly some familiarity there. I think, look, if these are the types of things you can do if you're the Kings front office, is evaluate some guys who might make an impact on the fringes of your roster. But I think you made the point that it's the quietest time in the NBA calendar, and it's just that this is the only thing that's happening, so it's the only thing we have to talk about. I would not expect, even if they do sign one of these guys, I would not expect any of them to have a major role in the season, upcoming. So I would just say, yeah, if you're really into Kings minutia, dive all the way in, man. It's it's the only thing we got at this point. But I think the appropriate perspective on the season is that it's probably not gonna matter much in terms of wins and losses and how the Kings do in the playoffs and all that.
Any of the names tickle your fancy or no?
I mean, not particularly. I think Juan Toscano-Anderson would make sense from a depth perspective because, he can play up defensively. He can play, 4s and 5s. He's been in that system for a while. He's been on winning teams. He's familiar with Mike Brown and the staff, obviously. So that's a guy that I think would make sense. But, I don't know if there's really a difference maker on that list, to be honest.
Yeah, we're going to have Brenden Nunes on later, and he just put out a piece on SactownSports.com about just some of the free agents still available, the guys that they worked out, some of the guys that they haven't worked out. Are there any names floating around that interest you? Not the guys that they worked out, but just in general. Seti Osman's a name that's come up a little bit, but anybody that you think maybe there's something there, or hey, there's a reason nobody's going after these guys?
I think there's probably a reason nobody's going after these guys. I haven't been fully, to be honest, I haven't been fully diving into the NBA free agency crop in late August.
It's pretty dry.
It's pretty dry. Yeah. I think the Kings roster is pretty much set. I think the rotation's pretty much set, barring anything unforeseen. I think, the guys that they have now that everyone's familiar with, that's going to be the team that they rock with. And if they make any additions in August, like I said, I would really doubt that any of these guys are going to be difference makers.
46.5, Chris, the schedule has now come out. 46.5, the over under. Now, Chris Watkins always famously says you got to play everybody. Doesn't really matter the order. Some people maybe thought that the 46.5 doesn't look as good based on the stretch. I know they have a brutal stretch starting at the end of January leading up into the All-Star break, but how are you feeling about the 46.5 over, under, or are you just going to stay away?
Yeah, if they stay healthy, I think I do like the over. I think DeMar DeRozan is just a really nice fit, and I know there's talk about where he's at in his career, age-wise, and things like that. But I mean, he's going to benefit from playing with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray to an extent. And I like what DeMar DeRozan does for the Kings because I think it takes a little bit of pressure off of Keegan Murray. I think last year there was a lot on Keegan Murray's shoulders to evolve from, a spot up shooter to a playmaker, a focal point of the offense. And that was a big topic this time last summer, right? With how he played in summer league, sort of playing some point guard and distributing and things like that. I think now with DeMar DeRozan being another ball handler and playmaker, you can get Keegan Murray back to sort of that spot up shooter role. And I'm not saying that's what he'll be limited to, but I think that's probably the best way to maximize him, at least in this point in his career, rather than have him be a focal point because, Keegan Murray going up against some elite defenders, and we saw it, in the playing game in New Orleans, it's just not really, he's just not there yet. And so, to add DeMar DeRozan, to add a serious offensive force who can play make and distribute, I think his ability to distribute for others is a little bit underrated, while also being a potential closer. Could make the Kings really, really lethal. So if you look at a lineup with De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis, that could be a really, really tough lineup to beat in crunch time. And I know the West is really good and really competitive, but I think if the Kings stay healthy, I think they have the horses to hit that over at 46.
Talking to Chris Biderman of the Sacramento Bee. Chris, before we get to Niners, we're getting a text. The text is from the 279. You got to be careful here, Chris, because this guy he's building a bit of a cult following. They want to know what's your take on Timmy time. They think that he should get signed now and be on the Sacramento roster. What is your take on Drew Timmy?
I don't have one. I wish I saw Brenden Nunes walking around your studio. I'd be more curious to hear his, but honestly, I don't have one.
Come on, Chris.
Sorry to hold you down.
Just say Timmy's got to be on the squad. That's all you got to say.
I mean,
say the magic
it can't
words.
hurt. It can't hurt, right? Like I've said, all the other names are not really doing a whole lot for me. So I have no reason to say, why Timmy shouldn't be on the squad. So sure, sign him up.
There you go. That's all we needed. Talking to Chris Biderman. Let's get to some Niners here. Chris, we played some sound from Matt Mayoko, and Matt Mayoko basically was saying that he more so thought that these two guys and Trent Williams, and I know we're not really worried about Trent Williams, as Sean Jackson was on FS1 talking about it, but as it pertains to both of these guys and Brandon Aiyuk, hey, they probably just didn't really want to work out that much during the summer, and everything's going to be okay. I believe that for Trent Williams. I don't necessarily believe that for Brandon Aiyuk as far as why he didn't play, but I do agree with Matt Mayoko as two of the teams that were interested in Brandon Aiyuk are two teams that still haven't named a starter. What do you make of this Brandon Aiyuk thing? I've heard you talk about it on different platforms. What do you make about this Brandon Aiyuk thing? Number one, not necessarily who's at fault, who's not at fault, but just how we got here. I mean, John Lynch doesn't even know how we got here. That's what he said. And number two, can you help make sense of the Niners, their plan at wide receiver, signing Robbie Chosen Anderson and Trent Taylor? I mean, for a team that just always seems so buttoned up and organized, it feels like this one they just missed.
Yeah, potentially. So on Brandon Aiyuk, I think this is a case where you have a team that's very, very tough to negotiate with and a player that's also been tough to negotiate with, right? Like my sense is that Brandon Aiyuk has a lot of asks and has not necessarily been consistent in terms of the things he's asked for, right? There was an offer in the spring for $26 million a year, and that's low, right? We saw a bunch of receivers come in for far more than that. And then Brandon Aiyuk reevaluated. But look, Brandon Aiyuk requested a trade. The 49ers more or less facilitated his trade request with multiple teams. And then, Brandon Aiyuk did not sign off on the trade. So if you're the Niners, you're like, all right, well, we're not negotiating a contract. We've negotiated these deals. You don't want the deals. Now we're still negotiating the contract. It's both sides. Like, I think both sides deserve an equal amount of blame because of how stubborn both sides seem to be.
Yeah.
But I still would anticipate a deal getting done. You've heard from multiple credible people say, the first 3 years of the contract have mostly been agreed to. There are just details on the fourth season that need to get hammered out. So I would expect a deal to get done when I think sometime or within the next few days, so Brandon Aiyuk can at least get a couple weeks of practice in before the season starts. I think that would be really important. Look, like the thing for the 49ers, the thing I keep coming back to, when they went to the Super Bowl the last two times under Kyle Shanahan, they were the number one seed, right? And last year in particular, they came out hot. They went to Pittsburgh week 1 and blew the doors off the Steelers and instantly announced themselves as one of the best teams in the league. When you don't have Brandon Aiyuk at practice and when you don't have Trent Williams at practice, I wonder if you're going to be able to win all these games you're supposed to win early on in the season, because a slow start like they had in 2021 or 2022 could potentially cost you the number one seed, which makes it incrementally more difficult to get back to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have the first round bye and you're one of the older teams in the NFL. You really need that first round bye. So when I look at, what's happening with Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams, if I'm the 49ers, my goal is to get these guys in as soon as possible to avoid having that slow start, because I do think there's value in, just getting reps in training camp and not, I know people say, well, you just want to be playing your best football in November, December, and January.
Yeah.
While that's definitely true, the Niners, especially with this group and all the injury history that a lot of these core players have had, you want that first round bye. You almost need that first round bye at this point. And so that's always the goal, is to get the number 1 seed. And that's borne out because the only times they've been to the Super Bowl, they've been the number 1 seed. So those are the things I worry about with the Niners and these contract negotiations, but I would expect them to get done. Mm-hmm. But I would just wonder if it's going to lead to a slower start to the season than they would hope for.
Well, and I think that kind of leads me to my last question, Chris, because they're an older team. We know the numbers as it pertains to teams that lose the Super Bowl and how tough it is to get back. This drama that has gone on with Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk, on top of the fact that you had a heartbreaking loss in the Super Bowl, do you think that the Niners have another run left, or is it going to catch up to them? And that's not to say the window is closed, but this season, hey, we just got to get through this season. We saw what happened with Debo when he had a contract dispute. He came in out of shape. He was not the same Debo. Same thing happened to a lesser degree with Nick Bosa. So Brandon Aiyuk, we know he's working out on his own, but does it feel like this might be one of those seasons where it's, let's just get everything back on track? We might have to say bye to Debo. Hopefully Ricky Pearsall works out and we just rock and roll next season. Or do you think, hey, once the pads come off, once they're facing the Jets on that Monday night, everything will be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they have another run in them, but I think it's more about, like the only questions you really have about this team, can they stay healthy? Can they keep all of their guys on the field? And at the advanced ages that some of these guys are at, when you're talking about Trent Williams or George Kittle, and even Deebo Samuel, he's not, Deebo Samuel isn't old, but he plays a very physical brand, and he's missed a bunch of time with injuries. I just think if they can keep all their guys on the field, then yeah, they absolutely have a run in them. What I'm curious to see this season and beyond is just, can Brock Purdy elevate the roster around him? Because at some point it's going to be less, Brock Purdy making $800,000 a year on a star-laden team. At some point, starting next offseason, Brock Purdy is going to get paid. And is it going to be a situation where Brock Purdy is elevating the guys around him? Does he evolve into that type of star quarterback? And I think there's a chance that he could. We saw it with Tom Brady. Tom Brady, early on in his career, he was a quote-unquote game manager, and the Patriots defense was really the straw that stirred the drink for New England there. And then Brady turned into a megastar quarterback and started winning a bunch of games on his own. I'm not comparing Brock Purdy to Tom Brady, but I think there's a similarity in the sense that, like, all right, this is how your career started as a quote-unquote game manager, being carried by your surroundings. Can you evolve and become a star player that elevates everyone around you? And that's what the 49ers are going to need if they're going to have long-term sustained success.
Yeah.
If they're paying Brock Purdy $60 million a year. So that's the thing I'm going to be looking for. Does Brock Purdy continue his high level of play, but does he elevate himself to a guy that lifts everyone around him rather than being a passenger on the ship?
Chris Biderman, Sacramento Bee. Be sure to check out all of his work at the Sacramento Bee. Chris, thank you as always. Look, you said you couldn't do it tomorrow. You couldn't hop on the show tomorrow because of a potluck. Chris, what are you taking to the potluck?
Oh, man, that's a great question.
You don't know yet? No,
I don't.
Chris. Charcuterie.
Charcuterie? You got,
Chris, it better be some good. I like my cheddar cheese. It better be sharp, Chris. It better be sharp. You taking some dang charcuterie. Come on, Chris.
It'll be good. I'm a high level charcuterie guy. I'm not just gonna phone it in. I'll be going to Whole Foods, hitting the cheese aisle, doing it right. Not just going to another store, slapping together an already made charcuterie board.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, and I'm sure your coworkers will appreciate your high level charcuterie board. Chris Biderman, Sacramento Bee. Thank you so much, Chris. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, man. See ya.
Coming up next, we have some fun with Sauce Gardner as he is asked to talk about Daniel Jones, and he truly has no clue what to say. Any other situations where some success actually ended up hurting the franchise, like that playoff season for the New York Giants? Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SactownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, The Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SactownSports.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help. and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real. And I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
We all know what UV rays can do to our skin, but they can also do damage to your car. Keep that from happening with 303 Protectant. 303 Protectant keeps the sun's harmful rays from causing fading and cracking in rubber, plastic, or vinyl surfaces. From the dashboard to the tires, 303 Protectant keeps your car looking new longer. Get 303 Protectant today at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Visit 303radio.com for more information.
Toyota's national sales event is on now through Labor Day weekend. So grab the keys to a new Toyota and make the most out of these final days of summer. Unlock the one you've been waiting for with Toyota's vast lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs, including hybrids. Don't miss a low lease on the 2024 Corolla, Corolla Cross, RAV4 Hybrid, Tacoma, and even the new all-hybrid 2025 Camry. Toyota, let's go places. Offer available through TFS to buyers with premium rated credit. Ends 9/3/24.
My kids call me Tom. So unnerving. Every day, the older one's like, "How you doing, Tom?" I go, "Hey, I'm not your fucking stepdad, all right? I wish I was. It'd be a lot easier, but I'm not."
From his multiple Netflix specials, comedian Tom Segura brings his new tour, Come Together, to the venue at Thunder Valley September 5th. Get tickets now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss Tom Segura, Come Together.
Whitey here, reminding you that not all gas grills are created equal. Bring out all the delicious flavors in your grilled meats with the amazing Napoleon Prestige and Prestige Pro line of outdoor cookers. My Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill has turned me into a grilling pro with features other grills cannot match. They're built different, built better, built to last. Made with premium stainless steel that boasts quality and a lifetime warranty. I may never want to cook indoors again. Napoleon grills and accessories are now available at your nearby Amy's, Ace Hardware in Sacramento, and now El Dorado.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
Thanks again to Chris Biderman of the Sacramento Bee. And these are always interesting, Simone. We're about to get into this Sauce Gardner sound, but the Mariners are expected to fire Scott Servais today, this is per Ken Rosenthal. That's always so funny. How did Ken Rosenthal find that out? Besides the Mariners saying, hey, we're about to fire this dude. The Mariners, who they traded for Randy Arozarena, but the Mariners have not been able to figure things out, even with the Astros really getting off to a slower start this season. The Mariners are 7.5. You cannot be 7.5 games back. And I know Julio Rodriguez has been injured, but the Mariners, they got really close. Okay, are they going to finally get back in to the playoffs? You cannot be 7.5 games back after they added another wild card, 3 wild card spots in the AL West. I mean, you got that's the other thing. You got the Angels and the A's. You cannot be 7.5 games back if you are the Mariners. So they're about to fire their manager and just try to pick up the pieces. All right, let's get into this Sauce Gardner sound during a joint practice between the Giants and the Jets. Sauce Gardner was asked the star cornerback was asked what he thought about Daniel Jones, and it was tough for him to find the words. Here it is.
He's a good quarterback. You feel me? I thought I was about to pick him off today. I had a little cloud rep. He had looked at the last minute to try to throw the check down to Wan'Dale. I thought I had to pick, but he kept it. The competitive periods, it was very competitive, man. It was great. Like, I had fun out there today. I don't really know what to say. Like,
Simone is dying back there. That's so bad. I mean, but what are you supposed to say if you don't think he's good? Basically, he's saying he couldn't even come up with the normal athlete speak.
No one's like prepped him for these type of questions or anything. And
But
I know you
Simone-
don't have to be overly complimentary, but you gotta say something.
He said he's a good quarterback. He could have just stopped at good quarterback. I mean, between what we saw from Hard Knocks, if you watch Hard Knocks, and I didn't even watch Hard Knocks, just from the clips, from everything that we've seen, and Dayball, we can admit now that the Giants probably regret making the playoffs. I think that's pretty clear that they would trade. If you ask a Giants fan or the Giants front office, would you trade that one random year where you made the playoffs with Daniel Jones in order to have then not have to pay him and be able to more clearly move off of him? Yes. I think they'd all say yes.
I agree.
I think they all say yes. And I know he's been injured and things like that. The Darren Waller situation didn't work out. So I was trying to think last night, Simone, any other situations in sports where a team's success or short-term success actually hindered them.
A hindrance?
Because a lot of people thought that was going to be the Texans, but the Texans, it actually ended up working out because they get the second pick in C.J. Stroud. Right. So that actually worked out for them. I'm trying to think of others, and 916-339-1140 off the top of your head. I don't know if this is the same one or if this is the same, but I don't think the Cardinals know what to do with Kyler Murray. I don't really know what their direction is. I guess a couple people have the Cardinals on the don't sleep on them list, but yeah, the Cardinals, he had 1-2 good seasons. You got to pay this guy, and they have no clue. I mean, he can't stay healthy. They've lost a couple receivers. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. So I don't know that I would put the Cardinals there. I was also thinking, of course, baseball and the NBA, but the NBA, I don't think there's nothing that kind of screwed over a team as quickly as the Giants making the playoffs did for them, at least in recent memory. But yeah, so it's tough sledding out there for the Giants, and Sauce Gardner just had no clue what to say.
That one's a very direct example.
Yeah.
Broad strokes, I think a comparison is there for the Niners. I hate to say it.
In what way, though?
I would say picks. Compulsory picks, losing our coaching.
Yeah. So the Niners.
Fraud.
Right. So well, again, yes, you're willing, and the Rams were a bit gutted after they won their Super Bowl. You're willing to get gutted, but you want to leave. I'm leaving here with something, just like Denzel said. I'm leaving here with something. And the Niners, that's why when we have the conversation as to whether this Shanahan era has been a success or not, most people would say yes. But like we said earlier, it don't mean a thing if you ain't got that ring. And if you lost all these coaches, you then have to now move off of Debo. You're paying Brock Purdy $60 million or whatever it is, and you don't have a Super Bowl yet. It's a different situation than the Giants, but I could see some of those parallels as well.
I just wanted to paint that picture and see, pick your mind a little bit.
Yeah, but Daniel Jones, I mean, even with the beard, and I know the kids were trying to say Daniel Jones has aura now. Well, Sauce Gardner is not buying bearded Daniel Jones or smoothie Daniel Jones either. Coming up next, Hoop Type has the top 15 small forwards and the top 15 shooting guards. The Kings have players in both of them. So why are we talking about the Kings only making it to the first round? What are they missing? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
Get a handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10-5. Touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sactown Sports.
Where do you go when you need someone to represent you? For me, you want someone that is local and that you can actually get to and talk with. There are plenty of big branded lawyers out there with the name, but you never get to talk to them. So go to saclegaldefense.com and connect with the law offices of Jonathan Gonzalez. He's local, he'll represent you, and he'll have your back. Whether it's expungements, wrongful termination, when you're in a spot when you need legal help, call the law offices of Jonathan Gonzalez at 916-304-9187.
For most of the people that walk in our store, it's been an ongoing, nonstop issue, and they're finally walking into the Good Feet store. Okay, the guy that came into my store last year that has had plantar fasciitis for 30 years. I looked at him, I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been here for 14. Where have you been?" I helped relieve a problem that's plagued him for 30 years. I mean, how do you not go home and talk about that?
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
But what was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPfest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. They believe it's all about people and choices. Their goal is to find the car that fits your lifestyle. With their huge inventory of models, they've got the right car and, more importantly, at the right price every time. Experience for yourself why their customers drive away smiling. Discover the difference, because it's not just about the car, it's also about the people. Experience the Sacramento Dodge Jeep and Chrysler difference off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks, or you can find them online, sacsuperstore.com.
Lead generation is one of the most important aspects of any marketing campaign. Let us help you identify your target audience and market your products or services to them. Go to aimyourdigital.com today. aimyourdigital.com.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sactown Sports.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. By the way, Tech Shots, Chris and I, we were there last week having some fun, eating some good food, playing with some guns. Trainers, by the way, not real guns. Tech Shots enter to win online giveaway. Sactown Sports has teamed up with Tech Shots to get you laced up with the ultimate state-of-the-art simulated shooting range experience, now open in Elk Grove. No hassling with the phone lines. Just enter over at sactownsports.com now through the end of August. Shoot, eat, and relax in style with Tech Shots. Terms and conditions apply. For more information and to enter to win, visit sactownsports.com. So Hoops Hype, they are slowly but surely releasing their rankings heading into the 2024-2025 season, and they're doing it by position. So what they have released so far, they have released the top 15 shooting guards, and they have released the top 15 small forwards. Okay, so the top 15 small forwards features a Sacramento King, and the top 15 shooting guards feature a Sacramento King. So the top 15 small forwards starting at 15. Number 15, Jalen Johnson. Number 14, Michael Porter Jr. Number 13, Brandon Miller. Number 12, OG Anunoby. Number 11, Mikal Bridges. Number 10, Franz Wagner. Number 9, Brandon Ingram. Number 8, DeMar DeRozan. Number 7, Scotty Barnes. Number 6, Jimmy Butler. Number 5, Paul George. Number 4, Kawhi Leonard. Number 3, LeBron James. Number 2, Kevin Durant. Number 1, Jason Tatum. So number 8 on that list is one DeMar DeRozan. In front of Brandon Ingram, by the way, who is going to cost a lot more money than DeMar DeRozan. So I thought that was very, very, a lot of these guys are going to cost more than DeMar DeRozan that are under DeMar DeRozan on this list. Here are Hoops Hype's top 15 shooting guards for the 2024-2025 season. Number 15, Cam Thomas. Number 14, Malik Monk. Number 13, Devin Vassell. Number 12, Bradley Beal. Number 11, CJ McCollum. Number 10, Tyler Hero. Number 9, Jalen Green. Number 8, Austin Reeves. Number 7, Zach LaVine. Number 6, Desmond Bane. Number 5, Jalen Williams. Number 4, Jaylen Brown. Number 3, Donovan Mitchell. Number 2, Devin Booker. And number 1, Anthony Edwards. So when we go through this list and when other names get released, I think it's pretty clear that De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis will also be on these lists, right? So when you look at this team on paper, you have a top 14 shooting guard who may come off the bench for you. A top 14 shooting guard, a top 8 small forward. I believe based on how they're doing this, De'Aaron should be a top 10 point guard based on how they're breaking this down. And I think Sabonis will be a top 5 center. And the one starter who is not on any of those lists, or I guess if Keon Ellis, there would be 2 starters, but Keegan Murray is on everyone's top 25 under 25 list. He's on everyone's top 24 under 24 list. Keegan Murray is. So I'm looking around this roster and I'm thinking, what's missing, right? Is it just a matter that we are in a new day and age in the NBA where, hey, Alan, if you're going to say, well, how come the Kings, why are we talking about the Kings as far as making it out of the first round or just making it out of the play-in? But at the same time, when I read off, let's say I just read off the small forwards, two names in a row, OG Anunoby at 12, Mikal Bridges at 11, those dudes are both on the same team, right? And if you look at those guys, that's 2 dudes in the top 15 small forwards for the Knicks. Then they're going to have a top probably 5 point guard in Jalen Brunson. That's similar, right? I'm trying to think of some of the other guys on the Knicks that might be. I don't think DiVincenzo and I don't know where Josh Hart would fall, but Josh Hart is, he's got the heart, no pun intended. Then you look at some of these other teams. Okay, the Lakers, LeBron James, he's a top 3 small forward. I believe Anthony Davis they'll probably have him, whether he's at power forward or center, he's going to be top 7, you'd say. But the Lakers after that, where are those guys, right? You're not going to find anybody else on that roster in the top 15. I don't think. Maybe Austin Reeves might pop in somewhere, but if he's not on the shooting guard list, I don't think he's going to be on the point guard list. Let's go to the Timberwolves. Timberwolves are going to have a top center. They're going to have a top power forward, and they're going to have Anthony Edwards is the number 1 shooting guard. So they're in the top 3 in the West. Okay, they have 3 dudes that are basically top 5, to be completely honest with you. So that's the West right there, right? That's the Timberwolves. As far as the Nuggets are concerned, Jamal Murray is going to be a top 15 point guard. Will he be a top 10 point guard? Probably. Obviously, Jokic is going to be the number 1 center. If not, he's going to be number 2 behind Embiid. And they also have number 14 on the small forwards list. So as we go through some of these teams, and it might feel like, and I think that Chris Biderman said it beautifully, just as far as, DeMar DeRozan really sneaking up. I mean, everybody wanted Brandon Ingram, or a lot of people wanted Brandon Ingram. DeMar DeRozan is ranked higher than Brandon Ingram. You're going to have to pay Brandon Ingram. He wants $50 million next season, okay? So as we go through the rest of the West, you have OKC. Now, I think OKC is a situation as well where you're going to have Shea is going to be a top three point guard, all right? And then you have Jalen Williams, who is a top 5 shooting guard. That's where they have him. Chet will definitely be a top 15 power forward, all right? And then, the Carusos and guys like that, that's a bit different. So you look at this and you think, man, and I've asked Whitey Gleason this question, and we can bring it up to him again in the 1 o'clock hour. We've had this conversation before where I've said, Whitey, I mean, if you're looking at this collection of talent, can't you say that it's the most competitive Western Conference? I don't want to say in the history of the NBA, but in a very, very long time. And I don't want to misquote Whitey, but he basically said, yeah, I'm just not sure if there are any great teams. Maybe the star power is there. I'm not sure if there are any great teams, but there are a lot of really, really good teams. And again, we'll talk to Whitey about that in the 1 o'clock hour. And I'm thinking off the top of my head, I didn't even mention the Suns. Okay. And all of these guys, basically it turns into a situation where if you don't have 3 dudes in the top 15 of their respective position, you're not even in the conversation. The Suns, Bradley Beal at number 12. Kevin Durant I guess they have Kevin Durant. They're going to have Kevin Durant at power forward, or they have Kevin Durant at small forward, number 2 behind Jason Tatum. And then Bradley Beal, I know, was on that list as well. Bradley Beal was 12 on the shooting guard list. So they have 3 dudes as well. We already knew about that. So all of these guys, even the dang Grizzlies, they have Desmond Bane is coming in pretty darn high. Desmond Bane is number 6, top 15 shooting guards. Okay, and then you have, obviously, Ja Morant is going to be a top 5 point guard, whether you disagree with it or agree with it. And when they do power forwards, you're going to have a Grizzly as well. You know what I mean? You're going to have Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. So maybe it's a situation where I can sit here and maybe in theory, it sounds good to say the Kings have top 10 players and top 15 players at 4 of the starting positions. How are we having this conversation? Well, that's just how ridiculous the West is right now. All right, Brandon Ingram is on that list. Zion is going to be on the power forward list. And I think DeJounte Murray, I'm pretty sure DeJounte Murray is going to be on the point guard list. So all of these teams have 3 starters in the top 15. So as much as you might feel good, and I'm not trying to knock down what Chris Biderman said, because I do think that DeMar DeRozan is that counterpunch. I've been saying it time and time again. But this idea that okay, you got DeMar DeRozan, and now you can be and now let's rock and roll. I think getting DeMar DeRozan just puts you in the conversation. I think that last season, having a Harrison Barnes who is nowhere to be found on these lists, I think that just, you can't have more than 2 starters that are just not even in the conversation unless they're ridiculous specialists. And that's not what Harrison Barnes was. That's why I think that Keon Ellis might be able to work, because Keon Ellis is a specialist on the defensive end, and he's a 3-and-D guy, right? And I would say Kevin Huerter, when he is playing to his actual capability, he's in that conversation as well. But you need to have 3 top 15 players at least in your starting lineup in this Western Conference to even be a part of the conversation, which is crazy. You look at the Warriors, you have Steph Curry. Obviously, he'll be a top 5 point guard. Draymond might be part of the power forwards just based on who is and who isn't a power forward. And besides that, off the top of my head, I don't know who else they would have on that top 15 list. All right. And obviously it's not impossible, but it's just a matter of who has to carry who. The Mavericks, they're going to have Luka. If they're calling Luka a point guard, they might have 2 point guards, right? In the top 5, top 7 in Kyrie and Luka. And then you have, well, funny enough, Klay Thompson is not on this top 15 list for shooting guards, but we know what Klay Thompson can do. And, you know, if you look at what the Mavericks added and PJ Washington, I guess PJ Washington, he might be listed as a power forward, or maybe he's just not on that list, but you have Derek Lively, who he might be on the top 15 for centers. So you have to be in that conversation. And if you're not, let's say PJ Washington and Derek Lively, let's say they're not on either list, okay, well, they have the number 1 point guard, or they have a top 2 point guard in Luka Doncic. So you can feel good about what the Kings have done, but at the same time, this West, to put it in perspective, and I think to round out this whole topic, to put it in perspective, the West, you have to have players in the top 15 to even be a part of this conversation. And I would say at least 3. At least 3 to be top 15 at their respective position to even be a part of this conversation, which is insane. And I'm going to call Whitey out because I need him to tell me when a Western Conference has been this competitive, because it's crazy to me. It makes those years when we used to make fun of the East and the West, it makes those Western Conference teams look weak. That's what it is. It's new with a lot of guys who haven't won before, but it's coming. Coming up next, the most miles run per game for the Kings and other players. How many players from the Kings end up in that conversation, and is how the Kings play sustainable? Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back. He just knocked down his 12th three-pointer, a Kings franchise record. He's got 45 points.
Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with Sactown Sports and the Sactown Sports app.
Jerry and Kenny here. When you call Bell Brothers for an AC tune-up, repair, or replacement, let me tell you what you can expect. Clean.
Our technicians will show up in a company truck that's clean inside and out. They'll be wearing a clean uniform and ring your doorbell with clean hands.
The technician will be clean cut, background checked, drug tested, and trustworthy to enter your home. They'll put on clean shoe covers and put down drop cloths in all work areas. That's right, to make sure your home stays clean.
And when the work is complete, they'll tidy up and leave the work area cleaner than they found it.
Call us neat freaks. Call us spick and span. Call us tidy, pristine, and immaculate.
But whatever you do, call Bell Brothers for an AC tune-up and repairs, because with us, you can count on it being clean. Call us at 916-444-1234 or find us online at thenosurpriseguys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
As we discuss the Kings, in the 11 o'clock hour, we always break down Kings. And we have more Kings coming up in the 12 o'clock hour as Brenden Nunes will join us for not one, but two segments. And we will get into more Kings. I'll ask him about some of the stuff, some of the things I'm breaking down here as far as the Kings having multiple players, top 15 in their position, and how in this day and age, it might not be good enough, or it isn't good enough. I mean, they're projected to be fighting to stay out of a play-in spot, and we can disagree with the record or the over-under. I know I do. That's why I'm going to smash the over, hypothetically. But this Western Conference is something that we've never seen. As we get into something that Hoop Muse put out, which I found interesting, and Chris and I have gone back and forth. Chris Watkins, if you are just now joining us and missed us yesterday, Chris Watkins is out for the rest of the week. He is enjoying himself, some much deserved and needed time off before we get into the throes of the King season and Niner season and Viking season for Chris as well. So Chris will be back on Monday. Alan Stiles rocking with you with the one and only Simone. And we're breaking down the most miles run per game in 2023-2024. This is from Hoop Muse, and I found this extremely eye-opening, okay? They have essentially a top 10 list, all right? We're going to go least to first. At 2.65, Keegan Murray. At 2.67, Scotty Barnes. At 2.67 as well, Fred VanVleet. At 2.67 as well, Domantas Sabonis. At 2.68, Mikal Bridges. At 2.68, Jalen Brunson. At 2.68, DeJounte Murray. At 2.73, De'Aaron Fox. At 2.82, Miles Bridges. And at 2.91, Tyrese Maxey. That's three players, okay? Three players from the same team, and I got to make sure there's nobody else. I don't think there is. I mean, Mikal Bridges, if you want to add that, right, to the Knicks, that would be Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges now, but they didn't just do it, right, because they didn't play together. But the only team with three guys, and again, the only other team with more than one are the Knicks, who they actually haven't done it together. So I don't really know how we should even count that. But you have three dudes into Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, and Keegan Murray. And we know about the flow offense. We have no problems with the flow offense. We understand it. But I do think, as everybody, the national media is sitting here talking about fit and how, I don't know if DeMar DeRozan fits what the Kings want to do. Nobody is talking about the fact that maybe the Kings didn't want to do that anymore. Maybe the Kings thought that, okay, we haven't officially hit our ceiling, but doing what we've been doing these last 2 years, maybe the reason that the three-point percentages weren't the same was because you went through a whole season of being hot. Then you got to do it all over again, running at the same clip. Go, 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 go. Fast pace, fast pace. I know these guys are young men, but you burn out a little bit. Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray, De'Aaron Fox. And what did we see with De'Aaron Fox? Beginning of the season, he's shooting the lights out. Okay, he still finished with the highest point per game in his career. We get all that. But the shooting percentages, they dipped. If you've ever played basketball before, what happens when you get tired? Your legs, you start front rimming it. You start shooting lasers. You start back rimming it. We know that's not necessarily the case with Domantas Sabonis, but hey, maybe we don't want to continue to run our double-double champion into the ground. Keegan Murray, Chris has talked about it before. He comes from Iowa. Then he gets drafted. Then he plays in the summer. And then he's with the USA select team. That's a lot of miles. 3 guys from one team. I think they saw this, the Kings did, and they thought, yeah, I'm not sure that this is completely sustainable. Maybe we don't need to just run and gun up and down over and over again. The Pacers, we know that they're similar. We'll see how that works out for them. Bold strategy. But I think that as everybody sits here from the outside looking in, those that are not a part of the Sacramento Kings group, whether you're a fan, whether you're part of the media, you're just not watching the Kings every single night. I think they're saying, oh, well, this isn't what the Kings do. But what about if this isn't what the Kings want to continue to do? I'm not saying they're going to throw out the flow offense. What I'm saying is stuff like this doesn't necessarily seem to be sustainable. Okay, you're going to go another season with 3 guys in the most miles run per game, and maybe they're still there. But you at least have the option to go to somebody else in DeMar DeRozan and do different things. 3 dudes, most miles run per game. Just for fun, the total miles run in 2023-2024, again, I'll start from the bottom and go up. 201.8 for Paolo Banchero, 201.8 for De'Aaron Fox, 202.2 for Pascal Siakam, 203.8 for Kobe White, 204.1 for Keegan Murray, 206.2 for Jalen Brunson, 209.4 for DeJounte Murray, 211.7 for Mikal Bridges, and the number 1 total miles run in 2023-2024, 219.3, Domantas Sabonis. They looked and they said, this isn't sustainable. In this Western Conference every single day, huffing and puffing, trying to stay healthy, we can't keep doing this. We need somebody that'll help us slow things down. Because these runs would happen, you blink, you go to make a sandwich, you go to put in a toaster strudel, okay, and you come back and the lead is gone, and you have no clue what happened. You went to the restroom and the lead is gone because it's just run. There was one speed, all right? People like to talk about all this guy has is a fastball, right, or a quarterback with no touch. You have to be able to do different things. And I think that as everybody says that DeMar DeRozan isn't what fits for the Sacramento Kings, that's exactly why the Kings wanted to bring him in. Because they didn't want to continue to do this. And I'll continue to ask the question, who was the perfect fit? Who is it? I don't know, because other teams don't play like this. You can't want a bucket getter but also be worried that this is going to change what you do. Those two things are not going to match. Something has to give. And I think the Kings, they looked at numbers like this and they said, this isn't sustainable. 8 miles more. And this is a small forward in Mikal Bridges. Domantas Sabonis is a center. 8 more miles than second place. 8 more miles. And you got Keegan Murray up there too. And De'Aaron Fox. Just wasn't sustainable. It just wasn't sustainable. Coming up next, we have that sound from Beyond the Arc, CBS Sports, on Mike Brown and whether or not he is a quote-unquote needle mover. What does that mean? Let's talk about it. Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Herter is Sactown Sports.
Herter's open, steps into 3. He's got the triple.
Hey, Sacramento, it's Kevin Herter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sactown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Elk Grove Honda.
I'm Dirk Verdorn in the KCRA3 Weather Center. Expect mostly sunny skies today with winds on the increase as we go through the afternoon, 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting over 20 miles per hour, and temperatures ranging in the mid to low 80s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
At Elk Grove Honda, we've acquired some of the best pre-owned cars we can find. Whether you purchase a new Honda or a like-new pre-owned Honda, Elk Grove Honda has the right Honda at the right price. In the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 and Elk Grove Boulevard, or elkgrovehonda.com.
I gotta get an Elk Grove Honda.
My kids call me Tom. So unnerving. Every day, the older one's like, how you doing, Tom? I go, hey, I'm not your fucking stepdad, all right? I wish I was. It'd be a lot easier, but I'm not.
From his multiple Netflix specials, comedian Tom Segura brings his new tour, Come Together, to the venue at Thunder Valley September 5th. Get tickets now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss Tom Segura, Come Together.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit khtk.com.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Progressive presents Renter's MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Tom Kelly's carbon fiber mountain bike. Because more than riding his carbon fiber mountain bike, Tom loves telling people about his carbon fiber mountain bike. Friends, family, even a local barista knows about his carbon fiber mountain bike. And that's why Tom's carbon fiber mountain bike, if you haven't heard about it, is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper, and I want to tell you about my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. They have a friendly staff, a trustworthy service department, and of course, a huge selection of vehicles. And from now till September 3rd, they're looking to make your dreams come true. That's right, Mercedes-Benz of Stockton Dream Days event is going on right now. So go check out their special offers on the 2024 C-Class sedan or a 2024 GLE SUV. It's just a short drive right off the 5 or anytime at mbfstockton.com.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Parmalee.
Close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich.
Be the difference.
Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
Gonna get Brenden Nunes' thoughts on Nasir Little and Drew Timme in about 30 minutes here. And see if he thinks I'm crazy as far as what we've been talking about in terms of the shooting guards and the small forwards. How many top 15 players do you need? The runs per game or the most miles run per game. So we will get Brendan's answers on all of those things in about 30 minutes. Coming up in the last 15 minutes of this hour, if you were trying to hold on for the Dallas Braden note on his podcast where he really opens up about the A's leaving Oakland, and Dallas Braden, you know, he really does wear his emotions on his sleeve. That's coming up at 11:45, so you won't want to miss that. But first, let's get into this term. And, you know, in sports, there are a lot of terms, right? The overused terms, ceiling and narrative, and you blame the media for everything. So we played some of this audio and you know, these guys, they didn't do a bad job in really describing the Kings beyond the arc. They broke down all of the Pacific Division. But they said something that really piqued my interest. And this is a subject that we haven't talked about a lot during this offseason, but it was a big deal at the end of last season going into this offseason because they had to pay and extend this man. And there are a lot of people, I mean, we used to hear and we used to read, get Brown out of town. There are a lot of people that weren't that high on Mike Brown. So here are the guys from Bill Reeder and the crew from Beyond the Arc for CBSSports.com. And they had some very interesting things to say about one Mike Brown.
Yeah, I think they should have taken. I don't think Mike Brown is a needle mover. I think he had a nice year when De'Aaron Fox. They were healthy all year. Circumstances dictated for them things to go their way, and they played a nice play-in series, and so they rewarded him. I don't think they were wrong to not want to back up the Brinks truck for him.
So right there, the term that came up, and again, these are these sports terms that you can do what you want with and try to understand them as best you can. And the term that they use there is needle mover. I don't think that Mike Brown is a needle mover. So now I just have a list of NBA coaches and whether or not these guys are quote unquote needle movers. And I'm not even being facetious. I'm just not really, I'm trying to figure out what to do with the term needle mover. So I want to ask you in the car right now or on YouTube or wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening, 916-339-1140. When you think of Mike Brown as a coach, would you consider him a needle mover? So when I look at some of these names right here, right in front of my face, Michael Malone, who actually used to coach with the Kings. Is Michael Malone a needle mover? Well, if you win an NBA championship, are you automatically a needle mover? I say yes. Does it help that Mike Brown has possibly the best player in the league right now? Yes. But I would say that Mike Malone is a needle mover. Steve Kerr, well, that's a tough one. I think it depends on who you ask. I think a lot of Warrior fans would say no. But I'm not really sure how you can have 4 championships as a coach and all the championships as a player and not be a needle mover. So I'm going to say yes to Steve Kerr. Tyronn Lue, needle mover. Is needle mover about doing things with less? Because Tyronn Lue seems to be the best version of himself when Kawhi is out or James Harden is out or Paul George is out. And then he's playing with Norman Powell and these dudes and Terrence Mann, and they end up making the playoffs. So Tyronn Lue is a needle mover to me. All right. We continue to go around and see these other guys. Jason Kidd, I don't know. I mean, I know Jason Kidd just went to an NBA Finals, but and maybe it's the stupid thing that he did where he says, run into me. If you have Luka and Kyrie and a front office that made the moves the Mavs have made, I have no clue if we're going to say that about, people are going to have things to say about Steve Kerr and the talent that he's had. I truly am not sure that I even know what to do with Jason Kidd. But I don't know that Jason Kidd is a needle mover. All right. And I'm definitely not going to say that he's more of a needle mover than Mike Brown, because if Mike Brown was coaching the Mavs, to me, if I'm going to call somebody a needle mover, then I'd have to say, okay, well, Jason Kidd took the Mavs to the finals, and Mike Brown, if I don't think Mike Brown is a needle mover, I don't think Mike Brown could have taken Jason Kidd to the finals, or taken the Mavs to the finals, and I don't think that's true. I can't 100% say that Mike Brown wouldn't have been able to take that Mavs team to the finals. So I have no reason to put Jason Kidd above Mike Brown in this needle-moving conversation. Ime Udoka, he's a couple different things, but I would say that Ime is for sure a needle mover. I think that how the team really resonated with him in Boston. No, they didn't make the playoffs in Houston, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're knocking on the door again. And I don't really believe in that roster. So the fact that they were knocking on the door in this West, I would say Ime Udoka is a needle mover. I think we don't have to waste a lot of time on Eric Spoelstra and what he's been able to do. Eric Spoelstra, clearly a needle mover. Greg Popovich, look, I said it before and I'll say it again. Greg Popovich, he was. I don't really know. I think we'll know a lot more about what Greg Popovich has left in the tank this season, as the Spurs will have a little bit of expectations. I think we can give Greg Popovich, he's earned a mulligan after all these years this last season, just getting Wemby into the fold. Let's see what they do this season, as you know, it seems like this guy has just got a lifetime contract with the Spurs, and he deserves it. He deserves it. Some of these guys that are going to pop up, like to me, Mike Budenholzer, championship coach. I have no clue if he is a quote-unquote needle mover. What I do know is that he had Giannis. That's what I do know. So you have the Mike, all these guys are in the same area to me, or the same level. I think Mike Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, and these guys, these guys both have championships. Nick Nurse had Kawhi Leonard and also had Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson go down. And I know they had that shot against the Sixers. It wasn't luck, it's Kawhi, but again, it was Kawhi. So Mike Budenholzer, even though these guys have championships, they are not any more needle movers to me than Mike Brown. Not Mike Budenholzer, not Nick Nurse. I don't know enough about Chris Finch to either put him in that category or not. Joe Mazzulla, I don't know. I mean, Joe Mazzulla, again, look at that roster. It's the Steve Kerr argument. Look at that roster, and you ended up facing the Pacers. Okay, you had the most ridiculous roster. The Sixers, Joel Embiid didn't play for half the season. The Bucks couldn't stay healthy. The Heat didn't have Jimmy Butler. The Knicks ended up getting dinged up. So I don't know if Joe Mazzulla is a quote-unquote needle mover. I know he won a championship. Does Mike Brown not win a championship with that Celtics team? I can't say that. Quinn Snyder, all these guys. So when you're going to use terms like this, it's the same thing as when people say, when we get mad at Kevin O'Connor for saying, oh, well, Sabonis ain't it. Okay, so what do you want him to do? Go trade for Giannis? Go trade for Embiid, who can only stay healthy for half a season? You say these things, but I want to ask, what's the alternative? Because I do think that basketball is a lot. Mark Dagnall, by the way, on the Thunder. I'd be willing to have that conversation. He's also got Shea. He's got a very young team, but I don't think a lot of people expected them to be as good as they are now. He's got Chet, he's got Shea, Jalen Williams. I'd have that conversation about Mark Dagnall before I would against some of these other guys who have championships. So you say these words and you say these terms where the first question is, okay, well, what's the alternative, right? I think in football, when you have a whiz kid offensive coordinator, it's a lot easier to say that guy is going to be a head coach, or even the defensive coordinator, right? That guy, you can tell he's on his way. In basketball, I think it's a lot tougher. So if you want to say that Mike Brown isn't a needle mover, fine, but I'm just not really sure how many needle movers there are out there. I'll give you Steve Kerr, I'll give you Eric Spoelstra, I'll give you Greg Popovich, I'll give you Tyronn, and these guys are all employed, by the way. Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, Greg Popovich, and I didn't even mention Doc Rivers, and that's on purpose because he's not to me. Steve Kerr, Eric Spoelstra, Greg Popovich, Michael Malone, Ime Udoka, Mark Dagnall. I don't know what to do with Rick Carlisle. I probably should put Mark Carlisle there or Rick Carlisle there. That's 7. That's 7 that I feel very confident about. Tom Thibodeau, no clue what to do with Tom Thibodeau. I guess I'd have to. He just does it in a very gritty, different way. But what the Knicks did this past season, I guess you have to put Tom Thibodeau. So I haven't even gotten to 10. So again, that's fine. But find the guy who is, okay, that's a clear upgrade from one Mike Brown right now. And I'm not even necessarily saying that they're saying to move off of Mike Brown, but you use these terms and you have no clue what the other side of it is. Frank Vogel's a championship coach. Is Frank Vogel a needle mover? Not to me. Not to me. So is Mike Brown a needle mover? Doesn't really matter whether he is or not, because there's only a handful of those guys out there. And even some of those guys, they're question marks. Needle mover. Give me a break. Coming up next, we play that sound from Dallas Braden, and we talk a little bit about I just got to get used to just saying the Athletics. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Subscribe to Sactown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys, live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus, view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sactown Sports.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
They say the hardest part of getting something done is getting started. Well, we did that 30 years ago when California first took on the tobacco industry. Now, smoking is down 60%, lung cancer 42%. A couple of our cities have already ended tobacco sales. A California without big tobacco isn't just possible, it's already happening. See our progress at undo.org.
Meda Chevy saves you $12,000 off MSRP on every new half-ton Silverado LT Turbo Max. In stock after rebates. Always 5 to choose from. Labor Day savings on now at MedaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. Ends 9/3/24. Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Hey, what's up, Sacramento? It's Kyle Draper. Turn up the cleanliness at your restaurant, healthcare, or industrial business with Alsco Uniforms, the official sponsor of the Sacramento Kings Mop Crew. We've got you covered with crisp uniforms, hygienically clean linens, floor mats, and of course, mops delivered weekly. But that's not all. Alsco Uniforms also offers weekly services for first aid and restroom supplies. Discover why it pays to keep clean with Alsco Uniforms. Just go to alsco.com to learn more. Again, that's ALSCO.com.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks or online sacsuperstore.com. Big inventory and the right deal. Experience it for yourself and see why their customers drive away smiling. It's the Sac Superstore difference.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
Couple texts and a call. We'll get to TC, and then we will play this A's sound. And then we have Brenden Nunes, about 15 minutes. From the 279, look at Brown's resume. Done nothing but coach legends. Brown is a needle mover. From UPS Chris in the 916. Where the Kings are at right now, I don't think it matters if Mike Brown is a needle mover. If we had to start over with the new coach, it would have set them back so much. I would say it's undefined as far as needle movers. Yeah, and I, again, like I said, we opened up the phone lines and the text lines. From some of the names that I read, do those names sound like needle movers to you, right? Or are there other names that I didn't mention? Because to me, I think there's so many that are undefined. And again, comparing it to football, I think that you're taking a leap of faith. the Nets believe that Jordy Fernandez will be a needle mover, right? And based on what he's done with the Kings, they think that's going to be the case. They are also in a situation where they have a ton of picks, and it's going to be not that fast of a process. So how much of a leash do you give to guys like that where you know they're not going to be in a good situation? The Pistons paid Monty Williams a lot of money, thought he was going to be a needle mover. They ended up moving off him. Now the Pistons don't know what in the world they're doing, but this stuff can get really confusing. If JJ Redick, if the Lakers win the finals, right? I think it's funny because I think JJ Redick would have to be considered a needle mover based on where the Lakers are picked to finish, even though they have one of the best power forward and small forward duos, probably the best duo in the league at those positions and top 5 players at their respective positions. But because of what they did last season and because of the rest of that roster, nobody wants D'Lo. They've been trying to give him away. I think you'd have to call JJ Redick a needle mover. The question is, well, what if they get to the second round? Yesterday, we talked about how the expectations are so different for the Lakers and the Yankees and the Cowboys and things like that. So JJ could be a needle mover in that, oh, wow, they got to the finals. But at the same time, I think when you're looking at a LeBron who is staring 40 in the face, whether or not that's good enough. 916-339-1140. Let's get to TC. Wants to be a part of the conversation. What's up, TC? What you got for us?
Alan, what's up with it? Simone, thank you. It's all good.
Good, man.
Hey, so, go ahead. My bad. I cut you off.
No. I'm just saying we're all good. It's almost Friday, so ready to rock and roll. What you got?
You know, so Brown is a needle mover, and this coming from a diehard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kings fan. Brown is a needle mover, bro. We wouldn't even be in a position without him. I know we got other coaches on Doug, Jordy, before he left, Luke, my boy Jay. Like, so this is like a group effort. Monty, Buffett, allowing everything. Yeah, but to sum it up, bro, to keep it simple, Mike is a needle mover. I don't want to hear about the legends, Kobe, LeBron. Like, I don't want to hear about none of that. Dude is a bona fide good head coach, bro. He came in here, brought this team together that could nobody bring together, right? We got some few pieces and put these guys on a high horse, bro, to success. And I'm guarantee you, bro, this season was going to be like the Beam One team season, the season when we broke the playoffs. That's how this season is going to be exciting. The reason why I say that, right, is because everybody is throwing the Kings off. This is how, when we made the playoffs 2 years ago, this is how it was. Everybody's writing the Kings off. Oh, y'all got DeRozan? Oh, y'all going to suck even more than that. We ain't worried about y'all. Y'all the same old Kings. And we going to catch people by surprise, bro, and be in that third seed again, dog, and make real noise. I want Kings fans to really hear this, bro. Y'all get ready for the excitement. Brown's a needle mover, bro, and this season is going to be special like that season. And when I call back, when we get closer to the end of the season, I'm going to say, Alan, Simone, remember what I was talking about? And we're going to laugh about it. That's all I got, Alan, bro. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, TC. Great stuff. Well, I would say this, and TC put it back in perspective. If you are the guy who leads a team who hasn't made the playoffs in 16 years to the playoffs, and then the next season to the play-in, then what are we talking about? How can you not be a needle mover? Now, the line might be, like we said, we talk about expectations. The line might be a little bit lower, right? But you can't argue against Mike Brown being a needle mover based on these last 2 seasons. I do think, though, Simone, as the expectations change, if you get bounced out in the play-in again this season, that's where it becomes, okay, Mike Brown, he's done some nice things, but his track record in Sacramento started out hot and he's kind of cooled off. I do think whether it's De'Aaron, and I've said this again, De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, not so much Domantas Sabonis, but De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, Mike Brown, huge seasons for them. Yeah. Huge seasons for them. All right. Real quick, I have this from Epic Air on the YouTube. If Pops and Spoelstra are the definition of needle movers, Brown is on his way. JJ Redick, definitely not yet. Well, JJ hasn't done anything yet, but it depends. If JJ does do something after the Lakers really did nothing last season, we'd have to have that conversation. But I think that's a good point, Epic. It depends on what your definition is. As far as a needle mover in Sacramento, making the playoffs and then making the play-in, yeah, I mean, again, what are we talking about? 9-1-6. The Kings lost in the first round of the playoffs. That's Fox's legacy. I don't know. What are we talking about?
Whoa.
I mean, legacy, you can't use the word legacy until somebody's done. Right? So I'm not using the L word until somebody's done. And, we've had a lot of tough conversations about De'Aaron Fox. That's why I'm saying this is a huge season for De'Aaron Fox. Huge season for De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, and Mike Brown. Those three, there's a lot to show. Not prove, but a lot to show this season moving forward. Let's get to this sound from Dallas Braden. And this is on Dallas Braden's own podcast called Baseball is Dead with Jared Carabas. And this is really Dallas sharing how he's experiencing the last days in Oakland. This is what he has to say.
You mentioned that like during the pregame, you were out there playing wiffle ball with the fans and all that.
It feels like this last trip or these last home stands at home, I'm going to show up and sure, I'll write my lineup in. But you want me to be honest? I don't really give a about your other team right now. I don't have anybody to make sure I'm doing okay. So what I do have, though, is the fans. And they don't know that, but they help me. And I will take advantage of having those people around because there's a cap on that. They're not going to be there next year. I'm not going to get to cruise that Coliseum parking lot where the greatest tailgates in baseball happen. I'm not going to get to do that anymore. So I'll go play wiffle ball with the fans. This is what I need to close this chapter.
And Dallas Braden is a guy, like I said, he definitely wears his emotions on his sleeve. We all know the story of the perfect game on Mother's Day that will be etched in history. And I really do appreciate him. And between this and Tua, I do think we're approaching kind of a different dawn where it comes to sports and a different dawn where it comes to being able to show how you feel. I know growing up, even for me, it was, hey, men don't do stuff like that, right? Or you just kind of hide it or whatever it is. Dallas Braden is in such a unique situation. I know nothing about the contract situation and how all of that goes. But when you have a relationship, I mean, you talk about a lot of people that are in interesting situations. I've mentioned myself being from the Bay Area, living in Oakland, even working for the Ballers right now, and how I've had some, I wouldn't say conflict of interest, but just interesting feelings as I'm trying to enjoy what the Sacramento residents are going to enjoy, but also understand what Oakland is going through, because that's where I'm from, or at least that area. And Dallas Braden is in an even more unique situation because he's dealing with it as a broadcaster and having to do his job, but at the same time, he understands that this thing is going to be completely different. And at the end of the day, assuming he's going to be with like I said, I have no clue what the situation is there, but I don't know that a lot of people have to deal with this. And there's something to be said about unique situations where you can't talk to a lot of people because you can, but nobody's going to be able to feel you the same way that you could feel them because you're the only one in that situation. So I appreciate Dallas Braden speaking out on it. I think that it is a very delicate situation and people are trying to figure out how to maneuver it and how to say the right things and do the right things. But when you get an opportunity to just kind of speak on it from the heart and just say, this is just what it is right now. And I don't really have anybody else to kind of talk to. I appreciate that. And some people will appreciate it. Some people will say, who cares or whatever it is. And, somebody will say, well, you still get to call baseball. You still get to do this. You still get to do that. But there's definitely a human aspect that I think everybody should keep in mind on both sides, from the Oakland Bay Area side and from the Sacramento side as well. So just wanted to play that and give some perspective as the final Bay Bridge series happened, right? Or at least how that was named. And we move forward to this next chapter for the Athletics. Coming up next, we get back into some Kings talk with one Brenden Nunes. We talk about some of the things that I just went over as far as the Hoop Hype top forwards and shooting guards. We also discuss who Brendan thinks will be the Keon Ellis of this season. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sactown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sactown Sports app.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, we make the dream of owning a new car easy and stress-free.
With prices that you just can't say no to. Save on our best selection of the year during the final days of the Honda Summer Event.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
#1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company. Sold on report.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, when the A's blanked the Rays 3-0 on the 19th, it marked the A's 11th shutout this year, and that's third best in the American League. It also was their 54th win, so 16 more for 70. Now, the A's won just 50 games a year ago, so a 20-game improvement last year to this year, that would be pretty impressive.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver. That includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto-pay with stored bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SactownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, The Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SactownSports.com.
KHTKAM HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports.
Sacramento has a new tag team in the midday. It's Stiles and Watkins on Sactown Sports.
Just talking a little Love Island and Bachelorette
back here
with Brenden Nunes. Brenden said he just got on the Love Island train. I said,
just a little bit. Oh, Mazel.
Yeah, the problem is I'm watching Bachelorette right now. We're watching Bachelorette, so it's hard to do both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once that ends, we'll get back because we're on, I think, episode 2 or 3 of Love Island, and it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
I just want to get to Casa More. I mean, that's all I really care.
I just got educated on what this even is.
Oh,
you're
you're gonna enjoy it.
I watched one season a while ago, and then I hopped in about 10 episodes in of the newest season recently.
Well, USA had to step it up because UK is always better,
right?
So I think USA said, all right, if we're gonna do this, let's make sure there's a reason.
And they got Vanderpump Rules ambassador.
That's right. I saw that.
And she's, allowed so many people to jump on this train, and she's a wonderful conductor, if you know what I mean.
So that's why you think Love Island is cooking more now, because
they did
that
exceptional.
cross
They did
audience.
exceptional casting this season too, and you'll see some of that. Casa Amor is some of the foulest behavior, but some of the funniest material that's come out on television.
We're gonna get back on
without going too deep, I guess, and derailing us too much. Is
Yeah.
exceptional casting mean just the most messy people
Pretty much.
possible?
Yeah.
They want love, but
No, they don't.
They want something else.
Sometimes I'm there's a point where I'm like, this person is so up in their feelings about I was just with this guy however long ago.
Yeah.
Their
and
brand
then they
is
say
their brand.
that they've been there for 7 days.
7 days.
Like what?
It starts after the first day.
Yes, it's insane.
I saw Wedding Bells. All
Yeah.
right, let's get to it. Maybe
guys
we'll
have
get
made my
back
day.
to it.
Thank you.
Yes, maybe we'll get back to it tomorrow. As we have Brenden Nunes here, Sactown Sports Kings insider, and fresh off the press, he has dropped an article about not only the players that worked out with the Sacramento Kings, but some other players that Brenden has been interested in or thinks that there could be some fit there. But before we get there, Brenden, I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask Whitey this again, because not too long ago I said, Whitey, this has got to be the craziest Western Conference. I'm not going to say ever, but in a very long time. And Whitey basically said, well, there are a lot of really good teams, but I don't know if there are any great teams. But either way, when I'm reading this Hoops Hype small forward list, and they haven't released all of them, but they released small forwards and shooting guards, and I'm seeing, okay, well, the Kings have Malik Monk, who might be their sixth man in the top 15 of shooting guards. They have DeMar DeRozan, who they just added, who is a top 8, according to Hoops Hype, a top 8 small forward. Domas is going to be a top 5 center. Yep. And I'm pretty sure De'Aaron is going to be a top 10 point guard, right? So for the team to have top 15 players and 4 guys in your rotation, and Vegas has them at 46.5, and they might be fighting for a playoff spot, this has to be the craziest Western Conference we've ever been a part of. Because then I read through the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, the Mavs, the Thunder, right? The Timberwolves, and they all have them. So then you think, okay, well, I guess that makes more sense. You need to, that is the prerequisite just to be a part of the conversation.
For sure. And I think that's fair. I think the difference on Sacramento's side is, yes, you have multiple guys that are all-star caliber, but you don't have an MVP caliber guy, which I think is what really separates it when it gets down to the postseason. I think regular season, I think this team's going to be really good for what it's worth. I've had and talked about some of my concerns about potential fit. Really, I'm just talking about in a playoff series.
Yeah.
When a team is sitting there scheming for you.
Right.
Regular season, I think this team's going to be really good. I think we're talking about 50 wins, kind of right around there, and I'm not saying in the 50s, I'm saying 50 for what it's worth. And roughly, but they do have a lot of talent. And I think that there could be some growing pains. Like Damian Lillard was just on one of my favorite podcasts, is Jeff Teague. I think that man is absolutely
I thought you were going to
hilarious.
say Gilbert. So Jeff Teague is fine.
For entertainment, but not for educational purposes,
yes.
right? Which I guess Teague is a little bit of both. But Dame was just on it, and he was talking about how much when he went to Milwaukee, that he was trying to cater to everybody else. And then there had to be conversations about like, no, we still need you to do you. But point being, like, there's growing pains. And I think that there could be some of the same that goes on with DeMar, whether it's the pace, like you were kind of talking about earlier, and what's the balance of how much we need to run with, we need you to run with us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we need to let you slow it down sometimes when the game's getting out of hand. So I think there will be growing pains, and I'll be curious to see how the first 20 games or so goes for this team. Mike Brown's a guy that likes to take it in 5-game increments. So kind of looking at it from that point of view, but they have a lot of talent. I think the difference is they don't have a guy that's top 2 at any of their positions.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we're talking to Brenden Nunes here, Sactown Sports Kings insider. You bring up DeMar DeRozan, and we were discussing the miles per game that these guys are running. And it's ridiculous, Brenden. I mean, you have the Kings, they have 3 players that are in the top 3 for the most miles run per game and most miles run total. They have Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis, and of course, De'Aaron Fox. So I look at this, and national media is saying, why would they bring in DeMar DeRozan? He doesn't fit what they want to do. I look at those numbers, and also being on the most miles run in total for 2023, 2024, number 1 being Domantas Sabonis, and Keegan and De'Aaron Fox being on that list as well. I look at it, and I'm starting to think, yes, they looked at Lauri Markkanen, the Kings did, but I think the Kings saw DeMar DeRozan and thought, yeah, he is different, right? We're talking about Love Island. Oh, he's not my type on paper. Well, maybe you need to change your type. That's why you're still single. And I think you look at the most total miles run.
That was a good one.
For the Sacramento Kings, and I think the Kings maybe thought, I don't know if this is sustainable. We're burning out. You know, there's some games we just don't show up, maybe because our legs. We know you're there at the practices. Mike Brown, I mean, he's not Tom Thibodeau, but they practice hard. Then they go out there and they run up and down for 82 games. And I think maybe they said, yeah, everybody might think that the fit is not it with DeMar DeRozan, but that's kind of the point. We need to start molding this flow offense into something that's much more sustainable, especially in this Western Conference with no days off.
Yeah, I would push back a little bit. Like when we talked to Mike Brown in Vegas, he said that one of the things DeMar is going to have to adjust to is that pace, and not just like full court, because I think that it's easy for most guys in the NBA to play in the open court in transition. They're all smart, especially DeMar DeRozan, smart guy all around, athletic, can get up and down. I was surprised he was on that top miles list that you kind of went through. But they're going to play fast. I still think that's part of their offense. When it comes down to it, they have what they think and probably is the fastest guy in the league. Yeah. And that's a big part of their identity. Domas can push the paint or push the pace as a 5, get the board, run it himself. So I think that that's going to stick. But naturally, the game does slow down sometimes. And I think that to your point of that's where other teams were going on runs, is that you can't always force it. Right. There are moments where you just are kind of forced to slow it down a little bit. And that's where DeMar is good of, we need you to go get a bucket. Like we saw Harrison Barnes post-ups maybe once, twice a game last year. And can you imagine how much better that's going to be with DeMar DeRozan compared to Harrison Barnes? And HB was okay at it, but DeMar's just on another level. So I still think that they are going to have that identity of pace, and that will be an adjustment for DeMar. But there's moments where other teams on a 8-0 run, and it's like, all right, let's relax a little bit. Yeah. And we need to get a good shot rather than taking a quick one just because that's part of our offense. Yeah,
it's open. It's open. If you got to take it, it's open.
Because the next thing you know, like that 8-0 run, it's not just an 8-0 run. It's an 8-0 run that happens in like 40 seconds.
That's when I told Simone, you got to make a sandwich.
Right.
You come back, it's 100%. Gone. The lead's gone.
Right.
So I think that we can meet in the middle here. And yes, they're not going to be a completely different team, but they needed a counterpunch. And I think that DeMar DeRozan gives them that counterpunch. Going back to the conversation of the top players, the 5-3-0 is asking the question, if Sabonis scored just 5 to 7 points more per game, he'd be MVP caliber, right? I think the answer is yes. I think 5 to 7 points more per game is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, we're probably getting to like 28 range. What was he at last year?
And he's not a natural scorer, I think, is the main thing.
I mean, if anything, there's moments like I just went through kind of the games that they had against last year, the in-season tournament teams this year. Houston's part of that group. And if you remember really early, first 10 games of the year, they played Houston in consecutive games with no De'Aaron Fox. And there was a game where Domas shot the ball 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude,
that can't happen.
You got to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that there's actually a lot of value in that his first instinct is to pass. But there's got to be moments where, you got to go get a bucket right now. But when you got Keegan continuing to develop, now you also got DeMar as a fail-safe. Like, you're sort of allowing Domas to do what is the more natural thing for him in the first place. So, but yes, if he was at that 19.4 last year, we get up to 24. All of a sudden, we're talking 24, 13, and 8.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're probably up there, but you also got to get a lot of wins as a team.
Well, I think that's what's funny because he's on the MVP ladder. I mean, I don't think he got past 6.
He was
but
8th last year, 7th the year before.
Okay, so he's there. And and that's why people have something to say about Domas because, if you looked at that on paper, you would at least think this team doesn't have to worry about the play-in.
Right.
But the way he does it is different.
Yeah. I mean, I think that to your point of the West being so wide open, it goes both ways, right? Like, there's no reason that they can't be Dallas from last year, to be honest. Like, I do think that Luka part is the difference. But really, I kind of think Domas is what he is for the most part, and maybe that's unfair, but I think that De'Aaron's the one where it's like, we've seen flashes of like, there could be more. There could be more defensively. He's just got to be more consistent, really, with everything. I think that this year he's going to refine his shot selection a little bit. Last year it was about like, all right, I'm a confident three-point shooter, and now he was getting it up a little bit too much at times. So refining that shot selection a little bit. He's the one I look at as, if we're talking to somebody that could reach that MVP caliber, I kind of look at De'Aaron, and I think that Mike Brown talks about him the same way. You know, he compliments the both, but he's constantly saying like De'Aaron's got another level to him, that he's one of those ones essentially. So I think that it goes both ways though. The West being so wide open, I still think that we're going to have a conversation probably about trying to make sure you stay in that top 6.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point because when I look at all the other teams that we talked about, and you have, the Timberwolves. Oh, we had the same conversation. Okay, but the Timberwolves, if Rudy Gobert is probably in your top 6 center, right? Probably top 6, top 5, but you got Anthony Edwards, who's the number 1. They have him ranked number 1 shooting guard. Okay, let's go to OKC. Like you said, OKC, MVP candidate. Mavs, MVP candidate. Then you have
Denver,
MVP candidate. Then you have the Suns, they're just completely weird.
Yeah,
but then you have the Pelicans, who I think the Pelicans, oddly enough, are in a similar situation to the Kings because Zion, you going to figure this thing out? We know what did he lose, 25 pounds? I know you saw the picture went viral. Zion, are you going to be able to take this thing to the next level or not? And I think that's the De'Aaron Fox question. Right now, everybody, the national media is looking at Sacramento. They're saying, that's a nice team. Hey, for Sacramento and what they've been through the last couple of decades, that's a nice team. And at what point if and when are the Kings going to say, no, we're more than just a nice team and a respectable team. We can actually do some things. And I think that is directly connected to one De'Aaron Fox. And maybe and to a lesser degree, Keegan Murray. And we know what DeMar is going to bring to the table. But that's why I said these two guys, we're trying to see how good are you going to be? Right. And that's why earlier on I said there's three guys on this team in no particular order that I believe huge seasons for. Okay. No particular order. Keegan Murray, De'Aaron Fox, and Mike Brown. Those 3 guys to me have the not most to prove, but the most that they can show this season. Keegan, you're on every top 25, under 25 list, but are you going to be in the top 10?
Yep.
De'Aaron, you're a top 10 point guard. You going to get to top 5?
Contract year, essentially, by the way. You want that super max?
You going to cook?
Right.
You going to cook or not?
Right.
And Mike Brown, we know what you did when you came in and took over for the Kings. Can you continue to do this? You drop back down. We know there are injuries. You go out and you get DeMar. He must have been aware of it. Not to say he signed off or not, but he was at least aware of it. What can you do when you have 3 top 15 players on a team? Western Conference or not. So I think those guys have a lot to show. I won't say prove, but a lot to show this coming season. Coming up next, another segment with Brenden Nunes. We talk about Nasir Little, who has just been waived from the Suns. Do we see something there? Also, we talk about Brendan's article about the guys that the Kings did work out. Any needle movers? And yes, we'll talk about Timmy time. Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
The NFL's leading rusher plays here.
The handoff to McCaffrey, walks in the end zone. Handoff to McCaffrey, takes it right down to the goal line. He does his thing again. McCaffrey goes in motion right. Backwards pass led by Juszczyk. A block there. Hurdles a man. 10, 5, touchdown! CMC!
You can hear all of Christian McCaffrey's touchdowns on your home for 49ers football. Sactown Sports.
Welcome to the Tap House Restaurant at Bartley Kavanaugh Golf Course. With an array of local craft brews from a selection of 20 taps, the Tap House menu boasts freshly made sandwiches, crisp salads, and a variety of specialty entrees. The Tap House is the perfect place for a round after your round at Bartley Kavanaugh Golf Course, especially during happy hour from 3 to 6 daily. Drop by the Tap House Restaurant for scenic views, exquisite food, and a hearty welcome. The Tap House at Bartley Kavanaugh Golf Course.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Farmally.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha.
Did your boobs stop working?
And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports, taking up to 2 p.m. Brenden Nunes joining us, Sactown Sports Kings Insider. And there is a very hot topic going on right now in the Sac Chat, whether or not Brenden has frosted tips.
Okay.
From what I'm seeing, they kind of look frosted to me.
No, they do not.
Well, Brenden,
can
you tell the story?
Oh, God.
That you, and I never heard of this, and I told Chris I did bleach my hair too. You know, I had to do it. Everybody else was doing it, but you said you went the extra mile. This is something I never heard of. Can you please tell the people, Brenden?
Yeah, classic white kid. Was a big Eminem guy growing up, and in middle school, I decided to bleach my hair, and I just didn't really understand how this worked. I guess, I thought you had to fully commit, so I bleached my eyebrows too, and. I hear Vermont's laugh in the back.
That's right now. I grew up around,
and I left it in for way too long too. It
Did
was
it
like
burn?
really light. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
That's when I took it out. Was like, oh yeah, no, I'm done now.
You did this at home? It wasn't even a professional?
No, yeah, I did it in my bathroom.
Oh, you got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
I think my mom did mine.
My mom put it in, but then just like disappeared.
What is going on?
And I think
you dyed your hair too?
Yeah, I mean, had to. 7th grade.
Yeah.
Had to.
7th grade. Yeah, probably about the same time as me. I have a picture that I just refuse to show anybody.
Yeah,
But Brenden, I'm telling you, I know a lot of white guys. Never saw the eyebrows, brother.
No, yeah, I know.
Never saw.
Yeah.
That's a Brenden special.
No, we don't got to call it that.
I need a picture.
Yeah.
No, you don't need a picture.
Every time Brenden comes on the show.
To do that, B, you felt like that was the right move?
I just wanted to try it, I guess. I also just started playing soccer. I don't know why that matters, but I just was that was the first time I ever did that and was just I just want to change up the look.
Well, you know what? It reminds me, and I don't know if somebody out there knows what I'm talking about, but when you would get to the playoffs or you go to a tournament, those teams where everybody would bleach their hair.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to bleach our hair and we're going to go on this playoff run. I think the records for those teams, awful. Those teams always lose. If your kid is saying, oh, we're going to bleach our hair, don't. Yeah. That team never wins.
Yeah.
That team goes 1-2 barbecue. Don't do it. And Brenden and Brendan's family, if you're listening, let's get Brendan's bleached eyebrows. Let's get that picture.
To the text line.
And we actually need it for your media credential.
No,
yes.
Just like Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. That's right.
I don't think so, guys.
For his media credential. Well, Brenden will be in the building with that media credential for all of the Kings games. And Brenden, you just put out an article about the teams or the players that the Kings have worked out. And really, I think Kyle and I landed on Cedi Osman as being the best, at least the most, him and Dougie McBuckets, at least.
Yeah.
raised our eyebrows the most.
Stop it.
Well, I'm just saying the most. Well, I actually didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Raised our bleach tipped eyebrows the most. But I wanted to ask you about Nasir Little, who just got waived from the Suns. Suns trying to wheel and deal some money there.
Yeah.
What do you think about Nasir Little? Do you think there could be any interest there from the Sacramento Kings? Because I know the Kings fans are thinking about it.
Yeah, for what it's worth, just because I love basketball reference nicknames, I looked this guy up because you told me this was about to happen, I guess. Philosopher Nas is the nickname. And I tried to find the origin. Really, all it is that Kobe White and Cam Johnson in college said, yeah, this guy's just really introspective. So we started calling him Philosopher Nas.
Interesting.
I'm not buying it. I think there's probably more to the story. That, don't want to tell every story at college.
Right.
I think he's fine. And I think for the context of a lot of these guys, whether it's, like you mentioned, Doug McDermott or like Chetty Osman, Juan Toscano Anderson, got to keep in mind, we're talking about the 15th guy on the roster here.
Yes.
We're not talking about somebody that's going to come in here and change everything. It's a flyer when it really comes down to it. And Nasir Little is 6'5". I think that there is some intrigue there when it comes to the size that he has, I guess, a decent wingspan as well, but only shot 33% from three throughout the course of his career. Not a great three-point shooter. I think the defense can still be a little questionable, like a lack of discipline in a way. I really think that Phoenix waiving him is a big sign to me. Yeah. Now, I know that they like Ryan Dunn and some of the other guys, the younger guys that they have on their roster, but last year even being on that team and only playing 45 games, I think about 15 of those is really not even playing, Yeah, and they needed help.
10.2 minutes per game.
Yeah, and they needed help. They eventually go trade for Royce O'Neal, which Royce obviously is at a different caliber here. But I think for the most part, getting waived from a team that is so desperate to get cheap players that can contribute around these star players that you have kind of says enough for me. I think he can finish, and I think the size length makes you think that there could be some moments you could put him on guys defensively.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind it in a 15th spot, but I like, maybe Chetty or Doug McDermott a little bit better.
But all these guys, right. It's really a matter of what warts are you okay with and not okay with, because all these guys, if they're available,
for sure.
And I think the way fans look at it, including myself, is that maybe you could find a diamond in the rough. And a lot of these guys, I think that's why Osman to me he's the most, maybe there's still something there. Right. Everybody else, they kind of are.
Maybe Lonnie Walker too.
Maybe Lonnie Walker,
yeah.
But
there was that one big game. I know you love talking about it.
I hate talking about it. But he couldn't even really get time on the Nets.
Right.
So that, like you said, that was a red flag to you when the Suns got rid of Nasir Little, when Lonnie Walker couldn't even find footing with the Nets. And I know they had a bunch of the same type of player, to be fair. That's what was weird to me. And the fact that nobody cares about that. And look, if nobody else cares about that fourth quarter against the Warriors, why should I anymore, right. Brenden?
Well, okay, to be fair, right, what I will point out here is that in that, we're going back again to his Lakers time, right? Which also, by the way, basketball nicknames, Skywalker and Buddha for Lonnie Walker, apparently.
Nobody.
Hey, Skywalker's kind of cool. For Lonnie Walker, that's kind of cool. All right, so you go back to the postseason run. Lakers make Western Conference Finals, right? There are 3 games where he has double-digit performances against the Warriors, obviously. But just saying, it's not just the one quarter. We're also picking. Yeah, exactly. I don't blame you for that. I kind of like it. I know this is your guy. I kind of like JTA because,
thank you.
Again, we're talking about a 15th guy, and we saw that like as minimal as it was, Kessler Edwards did have a role in a way on a team.
Yeah.
Like really, we're talking about playing 2 defensive possessions, but. That possession that we talk about against Kevin Durant, that's not nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Mike Brown loves the idea of, and I think this is a general NBA logic of show offensive players different defenders.
Yes.
So you're not used to something. There is a value of like, hey, we got one possession here. We got to get a stop. Let's go throw some guy out there that we trust on defense that they haven't seen the entire game.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, again, we're talking
this guy gets it.
But if we're talking about like, if the 15th guy can give you 2 possessions a game, I'm kind of down.
That's what I'm saying, especially against KD.
Right.
All right, and he locked him down.
And I know Mike Brown likes him. Wanted him at the beginning of last year.
Right.
Didn't end up happening. I know that he wanted to bring him into training camp even at the beginning of last year, and that didn't end up happening. And then they got him throughout the course of the season. He didn't stick around, but clearly likes him.
He's always there.
He's always there.
He's always
there.
there.
Down in Mexico City.
Yeah, he's not far.
Yeah.
He's not far. All right. I got to bring it up because I'm saying, Brenden, if I'm looking at some of these guys here, why don't we just go Timmy time?
I agree with Chris Biderman of I just don't even have an opinion.
He doesn't move you at all?
No. Okay. So the role that I think would be good for Drew Timme is, and this feels disrespectful, but it is
just say it. We're too far gone.
A practice squad Domas.
Yeah, I know. We've talked about that. Yeah, but he starts there and then he makes his way up.
Sure. He could try. Yes. He can. I think that in Stockton would make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, if that's in getting one of the training camp spots and getting an opportunity, getting an Exhibit 10, like what Boogie's on, which is essentially a non-guaranteed contract that also has a clause of if you spend 60 days with our G League team, then you get a certain bonus. I think it's like $75,000, which is what Boogie Ellis has right now.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind giving Drew Timme that same thing because then you're essentially saying hey, we want you to be in Stockton if this doesn't work.
But that to me is right up my alley as to what I'm saying, because I think that Drew Timme has just as much of a chance of getting time as Boogie Ellis. They got 18 guards.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Boogie Ellis got to deal with Mason the actual roster, and then Colby Jones, Mason Jones, who's a point guard versus a shooting guard. Devin Carter's going to come back. At least and I know he's undersized for his position, but at least Drew Timme can pass the basketball. He can be a Domas light or a diet Domas when Domas on the bench.
A light diet Domas.
A light diet. Okay, fine. All right, just get him in there.
But I do think
let him prove that he cannot play.
We
Let him prove it.
I don't hate that. And I do think when it comes to Stockton, there's a lot of value, and you're trying to develop about 3 guys down there, maybe 4 if you're throwing Colby in there as well with some of the 2 ways, and allowing them to play in the same offense. They try to run the same offense that Sacramento runs. You got to have a passing big to do that.
That's what I'm saying.
So I like him for Stockton, and he could get
most
Exhibit 10.
Most miles in the NBA. No, I'm saying Domas.
Okay.
You gotta disperse those miles differently.
Yeah.
And Timmy can get some of those miles. Yes, he can.
Okay.
You watch the G
bleach
League?
his hair.
Bleach his hair?
Yeah.
Get him going.
The eyebrows, maybe.
And the mustache.
Yeah, and the stash.
The Timmy shimmy. Give it to me right now. Brenden Nunes, thank you so much for joining us. Brenden, so you have the article out with the guys that they worked out and some other guys. And then you also put out something on the in-season tournament as well, right?
Yeah, they're in a group with the Clippers, the Timberwolves, the Rockets, and the Trailblazers this year.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, the Rockets and the Trailblazers are teams they didn't do too hot against last year.
That
and those are
Blazers
supposed to be the easy ones. The Rockets scored 130 in every game that they played.
That's crazy.
Against
and the last game didn't
everybody play.
Shengun get hurt?
Yes, that's
didn't even
right.
play
That was the scary
the whole
one, and he
game?
didn't play the rest of the season, I believe.
No, he didn't.
But I went back and looked at, since that's the guys they're playing this year, a lot of the rosters are the same outside of PG leaving the Clippers, so kind of went back and looked at how those matchups went last year. They did okay. I believe it was 6-7 split throughout them. I think it was 2-1 against Minnesota, 2-2 against the Clippers, 2-1 against Portland, and then 0-3 against Houston.
Go check it out, SactownSports.com, and follow Brenden on social media, always coming with good tidbits for your Sacramento Kings. Brenden, thanks as always. Hide your bleach blonde products if you are around Brenden. Brenden, we will talk to you soon.
Appreciate you.
Coming up next, we hear from Sam Vecini on the Game Theory podcast. What is one thing that Keegan Murray used to do at Iowa that we haven't seen him do just yet? Can he add it to his bag like JanSport? Let's talk about it. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
De'Aaron Fox plays here.
Stolen by Fox. Breakaway coming up for De'Aaron. And a simple, casual spike with the left hand. The Kings lead by 3.
Sactown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
I juggle a lot. I'm managing constipation with belly pain from my irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, with laxatives and fiber isn't enough. My doctor recommended a way to get ahead of it. Then I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks or online sacsuperstore.com. Big inventory and the right deal. Experience it for yourself and see why their customers drive away smiling. It's the Sac Superstore difference.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of the spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9,000 in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
The feet have a really big impact on how the rest of the body moves. The knees, the hips, the lower back especially. If the foot isn't properly aligned, all of these joints are going to function incorrectly. That results in a lot of muscle tension and chronic pain. What I really like about the Good Feet system is that the right arch supports can put the foot in its proper alignment. So all the joints of the rest of the body will be aligned properly as well. And when the body's aligned, we can reduce the risk of injury and chronic pain.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
Thanks to Brenden Nunes and his frosted tips. He actually, we don't know if this is the Mandela effect going on or not, but he actually did not bleach his eyebrows, but he thought that he did. Maybe it was his buddy, but he showed us a picture. He's a man of his word, and now I have to show him a picture of mine. I had a couple different stints. I mean, I had bleached hair at one point, like a bleached fro at one point. I had cornrows. I had the baby twisty dreads. I don't know. My mom has all those. We'll see if we can find
it. Wasn't bad. Bees wasn't bad.
No, it's never bad. Fine. It's never bad. It's just unnecessary. But it's never bad. It's never bad, especially back then. It just kind of
let me tell you, it is a bold choice. I wish I had as much courage and bravery to bleach my own hair at home. That's crazy.
But that's how guys will do stuff like that.
It's gonna be orange.
Yeah.
Not toned.
Sure. But that's what guys do.
Yeah, because it becomes a thing of like you don't want to like trudge over to the salon and be like, I'd like some colored.
Yeah,
hair.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. I'm going to purchase it myself at the local,
Rite Aid
or Long's or wherever and take care of business.
Okay.
Take care of business. Well, Brenden took care of business. Thanks again to Brenden Nunes. Now let's get into what Sam Vecini and the crew had to say about one Keegan Murray. So Keegan is on the Game Theory podcast 24 under 24. He comes in at number 20. And as they're talking about Keegan Murray, they bring something up that I hadn't really thought too much about. And this is about Keegan's time in Iowa and something that he used to do a lot in Iowa that they haven't really seen him do too much in the NBA. Here it is.
The thing that he did at Iowa that we haven't seen a lot of yet is he used to like really hammer mismatches against guards.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I would like to see him like take that next jump. I would like to see him like really crush mismatches against guards because he should be able to get those given the way that their starting lineup is going to look. I would think that he would be able to find these little matchups where he's able to, run a 1-4 ball screen because he'll probably play the 4 this year with De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, him, and, Keon Ellis maybe ends up being the starter.
So that is from the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecini. And yeah, I was trying to think off the top of my head once they said that, how often Keegan gets matched up. Obviously, as a 3, it would be different. And they were assuming that he'd play the 4. We've talked about DeMar DeRozan playing the 4, but I also think that Keegan could play the 4. And you don't see it a lot, or haven't seen it a lot these last 2 years. And maybe you'll see it more if, the actions kind of change and things like that with DeMar DeRozan in the fold. But yeah, when Keegan does have good size on him, and if he gets some of these smaller guards, obviously some of these guards, or a good amount of these guards, will be quicker than Keegan. But at the same time, Keegan has good size, and when he gets to that apex of his jump shot, he's not Kevin Durant as far as that type of wingspan, but Keegan can get to his spot. So I think that's something that we should definitely look for Keegan to try to implement into his game moving forward. And that's something that clearly he's done before. So it's not so much, hey, Keegan, try out. And maybe some of the things that he did try out this season, he did do at Iowa. So I think that when Brendan was talking about Keegan Murray and, okay, bringing in DeMar DeRozan, is it, going to turn him to a straight up jump shooter and things like that? I think that we can still see a lot of growth from Keegan Murray. I just think it will be more of the same branch of moves, right? It's not as much of we're trying to branch out and have 10 different branches on the same tree. It's going to be the same branch, but just different branches coming off of them as well. So I think that is something that the Kings definitely will need and want to see from Keegan Murray. And then you have the separate branch, which is obviously the defense. And we know that Keegan Murray has become a heck of a defender. But number 20, and that's what Brandon and I were talking about, number 20 on their 24 under 24 list. How does Keegan break through and get into that top 10 to where all these guys, hey, you know what Sacramento has to me, and I don't know that I'm going to put Sabonis in this conversation or even DeMar DeRozan, but that's when we're talking about De'Aaron Fox and Keegan Murray. When people say, yo, those are nice players. Those are nice little players. Those are nice players, right? And that is what puts you in the conversation of the play-in. How do you go from, oh, those are nice players. They got a nice team out there. They got a nice little team out there in Sacramento. How do you go from that to, hey, that Sacramento team, you got to watch out, right? When you look at all the teams, whether it's the East or the West, there are teams where you got to watch out. And there are, that's a nice team. That's a nice little team. And I think that the Kings are trying to break through from that nice little team into the, hey, this team, that team, we got to be careful. You know what I mean? That team can do some things, So when you look at the Timberwolves, they're in that conversation. The Mavs have broken through. I think the Mavs are a great example of that. I think the Mavs going into this season, even though they had been to a Western Conference Finals a couple years ago, they were, hey, that's a nice team. We'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. They got Luka. They got Kyrie. We'll see what they do. Now it's the Mavs just went to the finals. They got Klay Thompson. They get Najee Marshall. They bring back PJ Washington. They go out, obviously they draft Derek Lively. Watch out for the Mavs. It goes from nice little team to watch out. And I don't think anybody is watching out for the Kings right now, and that's what the Kings are trying to prove going into this season. From the 5-3-0, 52 wins, 4 seed, book it. This team is built for the regular season. I could see it, right? And that's what everybody said when they first made that move for DeMar DeRozan. You could see 4 seed, you could see 7 seed. Now, hopefully, the idea is you can't see 9 or 10, but I could still see 7. But to your point, 5-3-0, I could see 4. I could see them getting hot. I mean, they just went through a season where they were not hot at all, and they had 46 wins. So now, can you get hot? And by the way, this is all under the assumption that all these teams stay healthy again. We saw what happened to the Grizzlies, all right? And yes, they were still the Kings were still the 9 seed, but they had their own injuries. You get through a healthy season, all it takes is a Nuggets, and not that anybody's wishing anything, but a Nuggets, a Timberwolves, somebody losing somebody for a certain amount of time to be able to lock that in. That just really didn't happen. Besides the Suns and teams that you weren't really sure were going to do anything anyway. Coming up next, we have some fun with the football conversation. Dak Prescott, if you were a team looking to upgrade the quarterback position, how much would you be willing to pay Dak? And is Dak any different than Chris Watkins' favorite quarterback? We'll tell you who that is. Then at 1 o'clock, we have our top 5 at the top of the hour. Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out SactownSports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and The Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on SactownSports.com.
Experience a golf tournament as refined as you are. The Pro Court Championship at Silverado Resort, September 12th through the 15th. Be there as the best of Napa meets the best of the PGA Tour. With world-class wine experiences, breathtaking views, and incredible golf. It's like this weekend was made for you. The Pro Court Championship, September 12th through the 15th. For tickets, go to ProCourtChampionship.com.
At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, we make the dream of owning a new car easy and stress-free.
With prices that you just can't say no to. Save on our best selection of the year during the final days of the Honda Summer Event.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
#1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company's Old One Report.
Carmichael Dave here for Capital Casino. Sacramento summertime heat is back. And of course, Cap Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room, wants to invite everyone to soak up some air conditioning, still with the most variety of table games in the region. And as always, the best food, best service, and the best action, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Capital Casino, of course, reminding everyone to please make sure you gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
From the 916, also, he used to post up more, talking about Keegan Murray. Should definitely attack undersized players there, too. Yeah, I think that's probably what most of this is. Obviously, we know Keegan isn't really going to cross anybody up and beat him off the dribble like that. So I think a lot of it is the post-ups when he gets the smaller guards on him. And I think we'll see a lot of it, you know. And I think one of the things that they brought up on the Game Theory podcast with Sam Vecini was just the idea of Keegan Murray and playing the 4. And, I think those are the training camp questions, kind of similar to the Niners in that besides the Brandon Aiyuk drama, there isn't a ton of the biggest competition is who's going to start the 2. But besides that, we all know, and for the most part, that's how basketball typically goes or the NBA typically goes. But at the same time, I think that it will be not necessarily a battle, but figuring out who is best situated to play the 4. You have DeMar DeRozan that can play the 4, but he's not, necessarily a 4 by trade. Or you have Keegan Murray who has not played the 4 before. So if Keegan Murray can get there, I think that it makes more sense for Keegan. I would feel more comfortable with Keegan at the 4 as he continues to progress. We know who DeMar DeRozan is. Keegan Murray, he's 24 under 24. He's still going to gain weight. He's still going to get stronger. So he definitely can guard the 4 position when needed, and maybe more than when needed. He could be good at it. I think that the best version of this team might not be the version that we see on night 1, and that, okay, well, Keegan's not there yet to play the 4, so we'll put DeMar DeRozan there because he's used to it. But ultimately, when they're trying to get where they want to go, at some point we might see Keegan at the 4, and I think that would be a really good sign, a really, really good sign. So good stuff from the 916, from a different 916, going back to the miles that were being run. How the heck can these running miles be calculated? Seriously, how? Are these guys wearing trackers or what? I think, I was talking to Brenden about this during the break, and I think to some degree, right? There's no reason. I don't think people are just guessing. But I think it is a good question, and I'm not too sure. I know there's some guys that wear stuff that sometimes look like bras, and that kind of tracks their movement and things like that. But I don't think every player is wearing them. But it's definitely a good question. 916. As we get into a little bit of NFL here, so Dak Prescott is in a situation. A lot of people have been talking about Dak Prescott and what's going to happen after Dak leaves at the end of the season if the Cowboys don't win a Super Bowl, and what they would want to do or not want to do. And we had some fun with Emil Fergoso yesterday as far as what teams would trade for one Brock Purdy. Well, how many teams would pay Dak Prescott? And I think it's interesting because you have to feel like you're a quarterback away. I mean, to me, it's essentially the New York Jets model. And hey, we have some players on the offensive side, we have some players on the defensive side, but all we need is that quarterback. And I think the most obvious name, and maybe I'm saying it because I'm biased, but I think the most obvious name to me would be and I almost said Oakland, sorry about that, the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that would make a ton of sense to me as far as a team that Dak Prescott, you might not think he is the best quarterback in the world, but if you got to pay this guy to accelerate your situation, I would do it in a heartbeat if I were the Las Vegas Raiders. But with that being said, to me, I think it's funny that we talk about Kirk Cousins and how much money that he's made and not really done anything. How is Dak Prescott any different than Kirk Cousins? I don't really see how Dak Prescott, and this is somebody who just said I would take Dak Prescott on the Raiders, but I don't really see how Dak Prescott is any different than Kirk Cousins. Not to me, right? I mean, Kirk Cousins may have more playoff success than one Dak Prescott, but this is one of those positions where you just have to be kind of good, and you're going to get paid for a very long time. And if you're good, you're going to get paid for a very long time and a lot of money. But I don't really know what the actual difference is between Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott as far as their careers. Obviously, they don't play the same, but their careers. But it has to be a team that feels like they're pretty close. So if I'm looking at these teams, I think the Cardinals, they're stuck with Kyler Murray. I thought the Cardinals might think about moving Kyler Murray this past season, and they did not. We talked to our sister station about that during the season. Falcons, no. I'm just going through this list here. Panthers, I mean, to me, I think the Panthers are too far away to pay Dak Prescott. That's how I feel about the Panthers. So I still haven't really – I know the teams are out there, but obviously I just said the Raiders. I'm looking here. If things don't go well, could the Broncos maybe just say, fine, we'll pay Dak, but they might still have a little bit of PTSD from their situation with Russell Wilson, even though they traded for him. Continuing to look, even the Colts with Anthony Richardson, I don't think they'd look to do anything there. The Jaguars just paid Trevor Lawrence. The Vikings are interesting, but the Vikings have Sam Darnold, right? And they're waiting for JJ McCarthy to get right. So there's that. I could maybe see the Saints, even though, they have Dak or they have Derek Carr. Maybe the Saints think about it. Here you go. And I don't know how this money works if you have to move off of Daniel Jones, but the New York Giants, give a shout to them. So the Raiders, the Giants, if they can get off that Daniel Jones contract or whatever they decide to do there. I don't think the Eagles or Dolphins would be interested. The Patriots, that's intriguing to me. I think the Patriots are actually very intriguing to me. So that's 3. The Seahawks, I know Emil said that the Seahawks are happy with Geno Smith. I just think the Seahawks, hey, if you're going to stink, you don't want to get stuck in the Raiders situation. I think the Seahawks are just going to try to get a quarterback eventually. And I don't know, maybe I'll put them on the list, the Seahawks as well. So that's 4, not the Jets, unless something goes wrong with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they would think about that next season. The Bucks just paid Baker. The Commanders, I don't think so. The Titans, I don't think the Titans are close enough. The Titans, you might as well stink. And they've drafted a couple guys that haven't worked out. And then you have the Steelers. I think the Steelers are another interesting one. If Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who I saw them on the TV screen in here, I still don't think anyone's been named yet. If both of them stink, do the Steelers. So I count about 5 teams that would be willing to pay Dak the money that he's looking for. And I think it would be 2 teams that really just can't afford to stink. So, and I know the Raiders are interested in Shador Sanders, but I think it's between the Raiders, the Giants, and I would maybe put the Steelers in that category as well, which is definitely something to pay attention to, because you can make fun of Kirk Cousins all you want. They're about to do the same thing with Dak Prescott. You just have to be good. You just have to give your team hope. That's all that these front offices are really looking for. And they want a chance to win, don't get me wrong, but it's the idea that you can win, right? It's the idea that we legitimately have a shot. 916-339-1140. Let's get to Ashley. Wants to be a part of the conversation, bringing it back to the NBA. What's up, Ashley? What you got?
So as far as DeRozan and the Kings go, personally, I think that it's going to work a lot better than most people think. But one thing that kind of interested in me a little was when you guys were talking about player tracking and the miles and all that. I think that how they would do that is they kind of they have the film, obviously, and you can watch where the player goes and their route that they're taking. And I think it's more of just a projection, kind of taking like your average stride or like an average stride length for a person that size, and kind of projecting based off of the amount of steps we see, the amount of distance they're covering in their route, et cetera, to come up with a ballpark projection of where that player would end up in terms of miles. Yeah,
I think you're onto something there for sure. Did you have something else on DeRozan, or you just wanted to talk on the miles piece?
More just on the miles piece and how I think that would be projected or calculated, and also just kind of saying how I think that the DeRozan pairing, DeRozan with the Kings, I think is going to be a really, really good pairing.
Yeah, no, thanks for the call, Ashley. As always, yeah, I'll have to Google that. But, at the end of the day, I mean, we watch the games. The Kings are running up and down all day long. Up and down and up and down and up and down. I'm trying to think of who would be the slowest team, or the team that just likes to muck it up. Feels like the Mavs play really slow, or the Bucks as well. Giannis just kind of gets down there. But Giannis likes to be in transition, though.
Big bodies, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, what about the Heat? The Heat feel like they play kind of slow. And I'm saying out of the contenders that you care about.
Okay.
Sixers?
No, because you got Maxey.
But you got Embiid. You know, honestly, even though they space the floor, I don't really know how fast the Timberwolves play or the Nuggets. Both of those teams like to get into their sets. Definitely the Nuggets.
It's you know what? I'm feeling you with the Timberwolves and yeah.
Yeah, even though you have Ant, I mean, you don't really have them running up and
he
running
doesn't
up
push
and down
it too hard. Like he sets it.
Yeah, coming up next, we have the top 5 at the top of the hour. Raider fans, one of your young fans putting you on blast, Juan Soto and his unreal stretch, and a throwback song. We've talked about bleach tips on this show, and now we're talking about a throwback song that finally gets its just due. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
What's the missing piece for the 49ers?
Which names will they add during free agency? Whether it's in season or off season, the coverage never stops. Get the latest 49ers news on Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram and Woodland. What's happening, Chad, for the Make This the Summer sales events?
Save up to $17,000 off MSRP on all remaining 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xEs. And since it's the 4xE, you'll save thousands at the pump too with 56 MPGE.
That's pretty impressive. Any other deals on remaining 2023s?
Right now, save over $11,000 off MSRP on select new 2023 Dodge Charger SXTs. With savings like this, they can't last long.
Search, select, and save through their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
11,025 net savings on select new 2023 Charger SXTs. Includes $34.45 in factory rebates and $75.80 dealer discount. Sample VIN 683-858. 17,000 total net savings on select new 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xEs after $37.50 Fed EV rebates and $13,250 dealer discounts. Incentives include $37.50 federal EV tax credit. Is offered by a third party and subject to change without notice. Consult a tax professional for details and eligibility. Tenant's net savings. Sample VIN 664-151. See dealer for details.
Don't miss the action as the Kings celebrate 40 years in Sacramento, with this season poised to be the most exciting one yet. It all tips off on opening night at Golden One Center on Thursday, October 24th, when the Kings take on the Timberwolves. Tickets for all games are on sale now, so be sure to get yours to see De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, new addition DeMar DeRozan, and all of your Sacramento Kings take the court at thekings.com/tickets to secure your seat for the action.
Hey, listen up. Get ready for an incredible lineup of live music and events with the Sactown Sports live events calendar. First off, it's Michael Franti at the Backyard in Sacramento on August 23rd. And Soulfest 24 Live will be at Thunder Valley August 24th. Then take a trip back in time with 80s Rewind at Thunder Valley on September 1st. September 4th, it's Montgomery Gentry bringing their rockin' country to the Crest Theater. Then Train and REO Speedwagon will be at the Toyota Amphitheater on September 6th. And the Doobie Brothers are appearing there on September 10th. Also on September 6th, check out live music at Crawdads on the Lake with Jared Neiman. And you don't want to miss the Lodi Grape Festival, September 12th to the 15th, featuring Joe Nichols and Smash Mouth. And you'll laugh out loud with George Lopez at Hard Rock Live Sacramento, September 21st. And looking ahead, it's Bad Religion at Hard Rock Live Sacramento on October 19th. And that's your Sactown Sports live events calendar, keeping you up to date on the hottest live shows in town.
Time to check out Capital Casino, conveniently located at 411 North 16th Street in downtown Sacramento.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Take it on the local level. Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
About to get into our top 5 at the top of the hour. But first, Cody wants to talk DeMar, 916-339-1140. What's up, Cody? You're on Stiles and Watkins. What you got for us?
How you doing, my man?
Good, good.
Going good with you.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Amen. Yeah, man. I just wanted to comment, bro. I've been, a long-time listener, first-time caller, but, just even as DeMar's been here, I really haven't even heard too many people talk about Kobe's influence on DeMar. And I know as, long-time Sacramento Kings fan, I was there in the Western Conference Finals when Bibby hit that shot going back to that series. It's a heartbreaker, but at the end of the day, you can't knock what Kobe provided to the game and the influence that he had on people. And DeMar DeRozan has been very vocal about saying how influential Kobe's been on his game. And the fact that he's going to bring that kind of mentality to the Kings, there's just too many games last year where I felt like the immaturity of the Kings came through.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got somebody like DeMar that can come through and bring out the maturity in De'Aaron and bring out the maturity in Malik and mold Keegan and just have that influence on the Kings. I think that it's going to go well beyond his contract years here, the influence that he's going to have on the team. And I just don't hear too many people talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, those are things that you just can't coach. You know what I mean? That's something that has to be inside of somebody, and he's going to be able to bring that to Sacramento. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, no, thanks for the call, Cody, talking about that Mamba mentality. I don't know that people have made that direct distinction, and I do think that DeMar is one of those guys who wears, Kobe's all the time, and Kobe just super influential on so many players. Yeah, I don't know that a lot of people have added the Kobe piece, but I do think that especially when DeMar came in and talked about how much he wants to win during the presser, I do think that a lot of us took that and felt like that was something that the Kings were missing. I mean, Cody, you said you were a longtime listener. I'm sure you heard the Drive guys when they had JaVale McGee on, and JaVale really made some noise, right? Some national noise as far as the Kings are concerned about the Kings and people just not being afraid of the Kings, or the Kings barely beating the Spurs and just just joking around in the locker room, and JaVale, just being there, quick 1-year deal, maybe didn't feel like he could be that guy, that Udonis Haslem type guy. But DeMar DeRozan, I mean, he's not at the twilight end of his career, but he's definitely at a point in his career where he wants to do some winning now. And I think that he's definitely going to bring that maturity far beyond the X's and O's and the mid-range monster that he is. He's going to bring a level of intensity and a level of focus that I don't think that the Kings have had. I mean, it's very clear. And look, Mike Brown, when we would talk about Mike Brown and, hey, where does this start? Where does this end? And Mike Brown would say, I can't make them, do a lot of different things, right? And we went back and forth on, well, Mike Brown, you got to be careful on how you say these things, but you have to find that within yourself. And I think that DeMar DeRozan, Cody, you're spot on. DeMar DeRozan is going to help the Kings get there because, yeah, right now, you're talking about getting a bag and things like that. You start wondering and thinking, how much are you bothered, right? I remember talking about the rest of the play-in, and once they lost to the Pelicans and seeing the Mavs go all the way to the finals and how the Mavs came into your house and beat you twice. Yeah, they took out Malik Monk, but they beat you twice. And me just sitting there wondering, I know a lot of Kings fans are sitting there, man, we could have beat the Thunder, or man, if the Mavs can do it, so can we. We're the Kings. Are you sitting there, right? Are you guys sitting there upset as much as the fans are? Maybe that's unfair, but I know a lot of people are asking the question. And then to see De'Aaron Fox be the guy who's so influential and bringing DeMar DeRozan in as somebody who's been fairly hard on DeMar DeRozan, it made me feel like, okay, he's starting to get it. We're slowly but surely getting where we need to be. And I think that adding DeMar DeRozan, maybe De'Aaron Fox looked in the mirror and thought, this is what I need. This is the type of player I need beside me for me to get to the next level. Not just from a player standpoint and the X's and O's, but also from a leadership standpoint. So I think that is very well said, Cody. Thank you for listening to the station. Okay, Simone, let's get to the top 5 at the top of the hour. Oh, yeah. There's a reason we're playing this. Uh-huh. Bring that breakdancing back to the Olympics, baby. All right, number 1, the top 5 at the top of the hour. This young Raiders fan tells it like it is. And he's one of the most realistic Raiders fans I've ever come across. And I am a Raiders fan. This is what he had to say.
If you're still into the NFL, you know your Raiders. I can tell right here. How are you feeling with the team this year?
We're not going to the Super Bowl. I already know it. I already know it.
We got a realistic Raiders fan here. This is odd. This is the first interview I've ever had like this. The Super Bowl chances are not good. But what is it going to take for the Raiders to have a successful season, you think?
Not to get arrested.
Okay, that's definitely an interesting one. I would agree with that. Yeah, getting someone in prison, that's going to hurt the chances. If you're so into the NFL, you know your Raiders. I can tell. Right.
That was, local Vegas interview, and you can tell when someone that's interviewing gets surprised by the answer. But he's the one who kept pushing, Simone. He said, we're not going to the Super Bowl. Then he said, what's it going to take? And the kid said, don't get arrested. And we are not in any way, shape, or form making light of some of the things, the tragedies that have happened. But yeah, the Raiders, what's surprising about them is it's just who they've gotten arrested and how important some of these players were supposed to be. Because since 2000, I actually heard this from our guy Pat on KNCI. Since 2000, the Raiders are actually coming in. I'll let you get. Did you hear this one, Simone? Or you want to? No. Can you guess?
Yeah.
What number, or where do you think the Raiders fall on the list as far as all the teams and the number of arrests since the year 2000?
And we're going in like number 1 is number 1.
Number one has the most.
Yes. Okay. Give me 3.
They're number 19.
19.
So it's about who
Admirable.
they've been getting arrested, not the quantity. So the Broncos, their AFC West buddies, number 1 at 47. Vikings, Chris's team, number 2 at 46. Bengals, number 3 at 42. The Eagles have and the Lions the least amount of arrests, with 15 for the Lions and the Eagles. The Raiders sitting at 25, tied with the Chargers, the Jets, and the Titans. So shout out to that kid for keeping it real. More real than some of the Raider fans out there.
He's a realist.
That's right. I will say number 2 on the top 5 at 5. And this, I had to make sure that this was not, I literally texted Frankie Cardicelli to make sure that this was actually real. Juan Soto had his hits. He had 8 straight hits as home runs. 8 straight hits, went home run, home run, home run, home run for 8, and then hit a double. He is the first Yankees player to have 8 straight hits be home runs. So that is quite incredible. Because
Man, it makes me miss working on the morning show with you.
That's
I
right.
Picked him. I definitely did pick him for Let's Go Streaking at some point.
Oh, you
during
did
that week. Yeah,
you definitely did, and you would have hit. So Juan Soto is on a tear, and Aaron Judge is also on a tear. It's pretty crazy right now for the Yankees. And number 3 on the top 5 at the top of the hour, we are playing Joe Budden for a specific reason. Joe Budden, his song "Pump It Up" finally goes gold. And earlier this week, we were talking about guys and people that are famous for something other than what they initially got in the game for. And I think somebody mentioned Shaq, and it all started with Snoop Dogg, because Snoop Dogg, how many people know Snoop Dogg's rap career versus his post-rap career? And I think you could say the same thing about Joe Budden. I mean, I think a lot of these kids might know Pump It Up. I don't even know. Does Kyle know Pump It Up? He might know it from know it from doing this gig,
show. Literally
from just it being in the system. But I think most people know Joe Budden now, if they're in the hip hop space, from his podcast.
Right.
Which is crazy.
I'm an old head.
Yeah.
I'm traditional.
I know other Joe Buddens other than that. All right. Other than Pump It Up. I don't know if on top of my head, but he had some hitters out there. So shout out Joe Budden finally going gold. Number 4 on the top 5 at 5, another Raiders story. Davante Adams is closing in on history. Davante Adams needs 5 touchdowns this season to become just a fifth player in NFL history with 100 touchdown receptions through 11 seasons. He would join Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Marvin Harrison, and Terrell Owens. Obviously going to the Hall of Fame. But again, this turns into a conversation to where it's, do you want to be a Megatron? Do you want to be and I know Larry Fitzgerald, I believe he went to a Super Bowl, but you're 31, 32 years old, Devontae. You going to end your career on the Raiders? How good do you feel about the Raiders? Speaking of, 916 chiming in, Raiders fan here. Raiders are far from a Super Bowl team. They are severely lacking at QB. Defense is actually decent, but the offense is going to be trash. Imagine this offense with Carr and a defense which he never had in all these years. Still shake my head at letting him walk for nothing. Didn't see that text ending the way it did. So 916 thinking about bringing it back Carr. I wanted Carr to work. It was a mess towards the end, but what would he look like now? You have to assume he'd look better than Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, but maybe Gardner Minshew will surprise some people. Okay, we're going to actually go bonus here because why not? And I really want to get to both of these. So Lucille, people don't seem to like the Giants mascot Lucille. They rank among MLB's least popular mascots. Lucille came in at 15. Lucille, the cheerful and endearing mascot of the Giants, has been a staple of Oracle Park since 1997. Lucille was just inducted into the Mascot Hall of Fame. Despite this honor, Lucille ranked 51st among all sports mascots. Benny the Bull and Benji of the Chicago Bulls took the top spot, and Lucille ranked 16th among MLB mascots, and I believe Philly Fanatic was number 1. So a lot of people don't necessarily love Lucille.
I love Lucille.
Yeah. So this is from the SF Chronicle, and they never were fans of Lucille. All right. They say, and this is from the SF Chronicle, they're talking about it, depicted the mascot from 1997 awkwardly standing with the oversized headpiece featuring large mirrored Oakley-style sunglasses. Initially, Lucille's 2 long whiskers, pointy nose, and dark brown fur, which hid most of his face except for white fang-like teeth, drew sharp criticism. It looks like a rat, Chronicle columnist Bruce Jenkins wrote in the first of several poor reviews. Over time, Lucille evolved into a cherished local figure, sporting a gentler look with a protruding belly, sometimes a backward hat, and orange-rimmed sunglasses. Yet, it may take a while for the rest of the nation to warm up to him. The good news is a survey based by casinos.ca revealed a near unanimous sentiment: people like mascots. About 90% of respondents believe mascots enhance the game experience by providing entertainment and boosting team morale. And again, Lucille coming in at 16.
What do we want? The crazy crab back?
Lucille was tied for 19.
This is unbelievable.
With Rosie Red of the Cincinnati Reds.
No, I'm upset. You guys could have the crazy crab back if you want to keep that energy for Lucille.
Last, well, this goes without, you want to, I mean, it shouldn't even count, but Stomper. Stomper for the A's comes in last. And again, I think it's hard to think that was completely separate to what's going on with the A's. So let's say second to last, Raymond of the Tampa Bay Rays. Oh, Whitey's not going to like this one. And I don't know if he's listening right now, but coming in at third to last, the swinging Friar of the San Diego Padres. And last but not least, it's the offseason. And when you don't get called for Team USA, but you are the highest paid player in the NBA and you are the reigning finals MVP, why not lay something down on the track? This is a clip from Jaylen Brown's newest song. That was the last time an NBA player became a rapper or rapped in his spare time. Jaylen Brown with ASAP Ferg. Here are 50 seconds from Jaylen Brown's new song that they believe this is a leak exclusive here on Sactown Sports, and it drops tonight at midnight.
Like I cherish you, but now you get replaced like a parrot.
I've heard worse. But to me, it's the argument of if the regular Joe was bored and just got in a booth, you could probably cook up something similar. But I have heard worse about. No auto-tune. I'm good. I'm happy about no auto-tune.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I've heard worse.
It reminds me a lot of the Sauce Gardner sound that we played earlier. He's a quarterback. He's a rapper.
He rapped over a beat.
What
Wow.
What can I say?
Yeah, the Sac Chat. I don't know how to feel about that. That's how Sauce Gardner felt about Daniel Jones at QB. Yeah, interesting stuff from one Jaylen Brown, but ain't got nothing better to do. Coming up next, who scares you the most in the AFC besides, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs? Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sactown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sactown Sports app.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Whitey Gleason will be joining us in about 15 minutes as we discuss the Raiders in the AFC. And when Whitey comes in, we're going to play audio. The audio is really cool on this Jesse Winker home run. His first home run for the Mets. And it was a walk-off, but it's what Jesse did that I want to pick Whitey's brain on whether or not it is fair or foul to react the way he did from that home run. And as somebody who is a big believer in bat flips, I got to see where Whitey's head is on that, and that is in 15 minutes. So who scares you the most in the AFC besides the Chiefs? So there was this whole idea, right, as the Niners last season, they lose to the Bengals, they lose to the Ravens, and, of course, then they lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. The Niners have a problem with the AFC, right? So now that I'm looking at the AFC and how big bad wolf they are with all the QBs, I mean, I think that last season just showed us that there's one boogeyman and that there really is only a situation where ultimately there's one guy you have to worry about, and that's Patrick Mahomes for now. Okay, so if I'm going through the AFC right now, and who scares you the most besides the Chiefs? I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Lamar Jackson, but I know they beat the Niners, but in general, if this is a Niners-specific question, maybe, but Lamar has to prove that he can be one of those guys. The Bills, I know they got Keon Coleman. They moved off of Stephon Diggs. He's a little bit older now, but I don't know what the Bills are trying to do. And again, you have proved that you can't get over the hump. The Bengals, that's where this thing gets interesting. They've been to a Super Bowl. The biggest hump for the Bengals has been, can you get Joe Burrow to stay healthy, right? So to me, when you look at the other AFC teams, somebody's going to give a shout to the Texans. I think that's I think that makes a lot of sense. Someone's give a shout to the Dolphins, and I guess you could put the Jets in that conversation as well. But if it's not the Chiefs, you probably have to give it to the Bengals, as Whitey Gleason has decided to join even earlier than 1:30. What's up, Whitey?
Hey, did you put this chair here so that you'd be taller than me?
No, I did not. I did not put that chair there.
All right.
I didn't even know you were going to sit there.
Okay. All right.
You can sit anywhere you want.
I'm with you on the Bengals. I'm a big Bengal guy.
Do you think what do you think about the Ravens and the Bills? I mean, the Ravens, I don't think we've even uttered the words, not just us, anyone has uttered the words, Derrick Henry is on the Ravens.
Yeah.
With Lamar Jackson. And people like me are so unmoved by Lamar in the playoffs, I haven't even talked about it. And I don't know what to do with that.
You know, we've talked the last few years about the 49ers, especially the last 2 years specifically, the window. How long is the window open? And at some point, you have to ask that about the Ravens, right? I mean, they've been right there, but
I put this on social media not too long ago. Honestly, I think that it was last year for the Ravens. I think the Ravens missed it, and I think the Bills missed it that coin flip year. I think it's I think it's
the window's shut right then.
Maybe with I
got you.
I think Josh Allen is I guess I trust Josh Allen more than Lamar, so I would be willing to say that maybe the Bills can figure something out. But I think last season we saw the same thing with the Clippers, right? When the Clippers had an opportunity, the Warriors came and snatched it. Then that was it for the Clippers.
Yeah,
that was the window.
It happened.
And I think that the Ravens, with the Chiefs being down, with the fact that they had rolled and already beat the Niners, so they knew what they would have to face in the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens last season, that's not to say Lamar will never win, but I think it was last season, I'll be honest.
The team that's most intriguing to me that you mentioned and you kind of glossed over it, but you threw it in there, the team the 49ers open against, and I don't know what to make of the Jets.
Yeah, Chris.
I'm almost feeling like they reek a little bit of desperation almost.
Yeah, right. And, desperation can either force a team to, to play to its highest level or to just implode. And I've seen some clips of Aaron Rodgers. He seems to be pretty darn healthy. Chris actually read something a couple days ago, and it was about the best overall rosters or best overall positions, right? Position rank. And the Jets were number 2 behind the Niners. And Chris was a bit surprised at that. And I still have Aaron Rodgers in my top 5. I have him number 5. And that probably is a little bit too high, but I feel like we're forgetting that the Jets, they felt like they were a quarterback away, and they went and got a quarterback.
Right.
And
we think.
He's
definitely a quarterback. That's one thing we know for sure.
I think he's going to be pretty good.
The 49ers just have their way with him, though, don't they?
That was a different green team. That was Green Bay. Now he's in a different green jersey.
Did you see this? Jets.com. You can check it out. I think it's still up there. They asked a bunch of Jets, what's overrated? And they asked a bunch of guys coming off the field or on the field. Whole bunch of Jets. Don't even know all of them. And I believe Aaron Rodgers said, The Office, not that funny.
Were they all saying football things or just anything?
Anything.
Okay. And he said The Office.
Yeah. He just has a way of saying things, and I go, okay, I'm out on you. Right?
That's the one. Yeah. I'll be honest. I never watched The Office.
Okay. Fair enough.
But
Simone, you ever watch The Office?
Well, I was a big Office girl back in the day.
I've seen a couple episodes here and there, but you know what's weird to me that I ended up doing is I didn't watch The Office, but I've watched Parks and Rec. And everybody says that's like a
without The Office, there's no Parks.
Yes, exactly. But I still haven't got around to The Office.
Okay. Well, then you wouldn't have an opinion on that, but it's just one of those things like, that is so Aaron Rodgers to say that.
He would say that. Here's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. He would say that, and deep down, he never watched The Office.
I know. You're right.
That's the point of Aaron Rodgers. That's
but
what he
he's
does.
just saying largely it is overrated because of how much society are sheeple and everyone's just following
you got it,
it,
Simone.
and that's
you got it. And I got to
humor
admit,
that they just want you to digest.
I'm kind of similar. Breaking Bad. If things get too popular, I don't bother. Wow. I didn't even watch the last episode of Succession. I didn't need to. Everybody talked about it.
Do you remember this? Joe Buck, this was a number of years ago. Joe Buck said, I don't know why people think Curb Your Enthusiasm is funny. It's not funny at all. I don't get it. It's like, what is wrong with you?
But I mean, and I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is hilarious.
Yes, it is.
Oh, there you go. You're back on the right side of history.
Did you watch Ozark?
No, yes,
Jason Bateman.
I've seen things that say it's great. I haven't actually.
Okay, because
it's a different character than he is in Arrested Development, right?
Yeah.
Well, depends on who you ask. A lot of people
Okay.
think he plays the same character and everything. But Ozark to me was one of those shows where I understood why people liked it. And a lot of these shows are redundant. It's a cycle. To me, with Ozark, oh my goodness, we're gonna get caught, we're gonna get killed, and then they don't. And I saw the
spoiler alert.
I watched the first 2 seasons and I thought, I
Okay.
can't do this anymore. And I got another one, and it's going to tick people off even more, but we're going to say it on the other side. We'll also play this audio from Jesse Winker. We'll see if Whitey's get off my lawn or if he's let the kids play. Stiles Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Our first year as the radio home of the San Francisco 49ers is one we will never forget.
And Logan Ryan picks him up. Looks like they're playing man. LaPorta's over there as well. It's 5 out. It's empty on 4th down. Goff back. Not going to get out to his right. Being chased. Throws, and it is incomplete. The 49ers take over on 4th down again.
Congratulations to the 49ers on a terrific year. And thank you for so many wonderful memories.
Advanced Infusion Center, where we prioritize your comfort and well-being. Whether you're managing a chronic condition or seeking specialized IV therapy, our state-of-the-art center offers tailored solutions to meet your needs. Advanced Infusion Center's dedicated healthcare professionals are here to ensure your safety and provide personalized care. Conveniently located in Sacramento and Yuba City with flexible scheduling options. Experience a new standard in infusion therapy. Visit Advanced Infusion Center today at advancedinfusion.com.
As a mom, I'd do anything to keep my child out of physical pain. Dr. Pamela Maida is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon. As a doctor, I know that growth spurts can cause pain in my child's feet, and that can affect their legs and back too. Good Feet Youth Arch supports are designed to alleviate, even eliminate common pain. Investing in youth arch supports for your child or teen is one of the best decisions you can make.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Bing Maloney Golf Courses, 27 holes of high-flying public fun, and Bing Maloney's a classic design for golfers of all abilities. Bing Maloney's lighted driving range is a great place to learn and practice this summer under the covered hitting stations. The range also offers a practice putting green and outdoor furniture to relax with friends. Enjoy tasty beverages or comfort food from Maloney's Grill. The Association of Golf Merchandisers has named Bing Maloney a top 100 golf shop. For tee times, visit bingmaloney.com. It's Sacramento Golf's great value course.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town. Getting drunk on a plane. For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park for Country in the Park 2. What was I thinking? And he's bringing some friends. Carmelie. I want to close your eyes for this. Tyler Rich. Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Hart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Insurance companies perform a very valuable service, but they want to keep their money. Although most cases settle before trial, it is paramount that the insurance companies know that if pressed, your legal team has the experience to take your case all the way. For 25 years, Ashton & Price has earned the reputation that if the insurance company isn't fair, we're ready to force them to be fair. My mom used to warn me, wait till dad gets home. Think of us as dad. The best part, there's no fee until we win.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sactown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Labor Day savings now at Maida Chevy with $12,000 off MSRP on every new Silverado half-ton Turbo Max in stock after rebates.
$12,000 off every Silverado LT Turbo Max at Maida Chevy with at least 5 at this price.
Labor Day savings up to $12,000 off MSRP exclusively at Maida Chevy at MaidaChevy.com. Sacramento Silverado headquarters. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing and leasing. Some other offers must trade in 2010 model year or newer. Ends 9/3/24.
Made a great deal at Maida. At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
Hi, this is Frank LaRosa.
And this is Scott Marsh.
Join us weekly for Golf to Go right here on Sactown Sports. We talk to all the local golf experts in the area and give you the latest on all the courses as well.
And not to mention all the golf legends and celebrities, along with all the latest in equipment and tournaments too.
Most importantly, we'll just have some fun talking about a game that's fun to play.
You know it's my favorite hour of the week, Frank.
Golf to Go, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Sactown Sports. Give us a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
Sactown Sports.
Check us out on YouTube. Search Sactown Sports and subscribe.
About to get into this Jesse Winker audio from his walk-off with the Mets. Whitey Gleason is hanging out with us. Stiles Watkins, maybe he's golfing right now. Maybe he's just chilling. He will be back on Monday, and we were having some conversations about Aaron Rodgers just trying to be different to be different, saying that The Office is overrated. We don't even know if he's ever watched The Office. 209 brought up Friends. You either love it and think it's funny or you hate it. I think I've never watched Friends either.
Me either,
that
big
was a
dog.
little bit, not before my time, but the ages they were, it just wasn't matching up with me. Whitey, what I wanted to say and what's probably going to tick people off and like I said, a lot of shows, it's a cycle, and it's whether you enjoy the cycle of the show or not, right? It's not just Ozark, like I said. You know, as another one, I watched one season, and I said, I watched the trailer for Ted Lasso season 2, and I thought, I just watched this. And I didn't watch it. We watched one season, and I was done. I'm sorry.
I haven't even watched that much.
Did you try?
I haven't tried yet.
Okay. It's not a bad show. I just felt I watched season 2 and thought, did I just watch this? I'm sorry, Simone. Are you Ted Lasso person?
Yes, mental health is important, you guys, and
I'm
I would
not saying
encourage you to give it another go.
Well,
Get back out on the pitch.
My daughter Lonnie, she teaches at Sac State, and a couple of years ago I was asking her about Stranger Things. She says, I haven't watched that. Why not? Because everyone says to watch it, and so I don't want to watch it.
I'm right
And that's
there.
like, that's my girl.
That's right. Now I do watch Stranger Things, but I don't watch Game of Thrones. So it's just, you pick and choose. Because I like those type of shows.
You shouldn't say that when Simone is running your board.
Simone is not happy with me right now.
It's okay.
All right, well, let's see if Whitey will be happy with. Have you seen the video, Whitey? Because I can show it to you.
No, I haven't. And by the way, I'm kind of with you on Friends. I've seen a lot of Friends.
Wow.
And just,
Give me Seinfeld. Give me Seinfeld all day.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
There you go. All right. I'm going to show you this, Whitey, this video as Simone's playing the audio. And let me know if you think this is a walk-off home run. Let me know if Jesse Winker did too much, and we can then describe it to the listeners. All right. Go ahead, Simone.
3-2 from Dominguez. And Winker strokes one deep left center field. Back goes Mullins near the wall. It's out of here! Jesse Winker's first home run as a New York Met is a walk-off shot in the bottom of the ninth. And the Mets do it again with a game-winning home run by Winker. They take 2 out of 3 from the Orioles.
I'm glad you played that, Alan, because I saw a still of that today. I saw a picture of him, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It's like, it looks like he's pitching, but he's obviously running the bases.
All right, so let's describe it. So Jesse Winker, the Mets are in the middle of a playoff hunt, and I think that's 2 nights in a row they've had walk-off home runs. Jesse Winker, first home run, I think they said on the broadcast, with the Mets. He hits the home run. He runs about, I don't know, 5 feet, 3 feet, stops in front of his own dugout, says some version of, what's up, pumping his hands, spikes his helmet on the ground, runs the bases with no helmet on, rounds third. It's a walk-off, so the game's over. The team is in front of him. He's high-fiving the team about 2/3 down the line, and then, of course, does the big jump on home plate. I don't know if there was an actual bat flip or not, but this is beyond bat flip. Fair or foul? Did he do too much?
It's fair. It's I don't blame him.
Yeah.
He's just got there. As you said, they're fighting for their playoff lives. They got 4 big games coming up against San Diego starting tonight. They're on the outside looking into the wild card race, and he just got there, and that's the way he, endears himself to his teammates. When you have someone new come in and they're talented, you have expectations. Frankly, Alan, it's what we've all expected from you. We're still waiting for that moment. Am I right?
Okay.
We know because we know you have it in you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
No, but I get it. And that's the Orioles are a good team.
A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people did not like it.
How about you?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with it.
That was gratuitous.
Oh, that was the Mets social media page. They posted it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, what's weird to me is, and I don't know if you've seen this, Whitey, because I know I'm one of the 15 people in the world that watch college baseball, but you can get ejected for bat flipping in college baseball. And I think that baseball has to be careful, not that they're connected to the NCAA, but I've always said it is pretty funny that if you think about it, baseball is one of the only sports with no actual rule as to what you can and can't. You can get to second base and do a backflip.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. And now that it was just kind of frowned upon. Now that people are,
they didn't need rules before.
And I wonder
if you did that, you get plunked.
Right, but I do wonder: are we headed towards some? Not that baseball needs any more stupid rules, but are we headed towards taunting, fouls, or penalties in baseball? I mean, this stuff could continue. If you're me, it's just going to get more and more extravagant.
Baseball, they would only enact a rule against that if they felt it was slowing the game down. Because everything now is, let's go. We got to speed it up.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And this game is over, so you can take as much time as you want. But you could literally, tell me if I'm wrong or right. You could hit a home run and do cartwheels around the base paths, and you're not breaking any rule.
Right. That's correct. As far as I know.
As far as I know, there's no rule.
You're gonna somersault, actually.
You and your
somersault.
You and your teammates are gonna pay if you got to play that team again the next day.
Yeah,
someone is getting plunked.
Hey, I'll handle it when I handle it.
What did you think of? I'm sure you guys talked about this. Was it Austin Adams on the A's when they were at Shea and he mocked their "oh my god" thing?
Oh yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I think baseball needs more of it.
Boo! They were booing him because he struck out somebody. And he mocked the thing they do after they hit a home run.
Yeah,
based on a song that Iglesias, one of their infielders, sings.
No, I don't mind it at all. But at the same time, we have to make a decision. Okay, are we hitting people still? What are we going to do here?
I'm old school. If you do that, like what you said, if you're going to do your somersaults or cartwheels,
yeah.
And I know next game I'm getting thrown out. If I'm the manager, if I'm pitching, I'm definitely taking care of business.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm getting thrown out or something, it's all right. You got to draw the line somewhere.
But would you draw the line at, hey, beat them, but no headshots? Would you say that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I would.
Okay.
I would.
All right.
Yeah. I was on with Ratto and Kolsky one time.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys that we worked with in San Francisco, and we were talking about stealing signs. And Cal Ripken, we had some audio of Cal Ripken Jr. He said, "Look, the way to stop that, if the catcher's stealing signs, or whoever, if a hitter is stealing signs, like looking back, whatever, you throw one right at his chin. If a guy's peeking, if the hitter is peeking,
right."
And I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "What is wrong with you're a barbarian?" I was like, "Dude, that's baseball."
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree, and I've got caught stealing.
You warn
signs.
them. You say, "Don't do that." And then if they do it again, all right.
Wait. So what was the warning?
The warning was, "Don't do that." Hey, we know what you're doing. Don't do that.
Oh,
again.
the catcher says, "Hey,
yeah, hey man, yeah, knock it off.
Right.
Don't do that again.
Right.
And okay, and then all right, yeah, you've been warned."
The chin, though. I mean, it's one way.
That's what Cal Ripken said.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna trust Cal Ripken. Yeah, the headshots to me, and that's the thing. When you're talking about these guys throwing 98 plus, it might not even be. It's a slippery slope because that might not be the intention. We're acting like all these guys have. A lot of them do have pinpoint accuracy, but some of them don't.
You know what I was always told? If you wanted to hit somebody in the head, which you shouldn't do, You know where you throw it? You probably know this. You throw it right behind the head because the first instinct is to go down.
Whitey, that is messed up.
My dad's uncle was a pitcher in the big leagues. I learned that. My dad told me, if you want to hit somebody, I never did it, but it's like, if a guy wants to hit somebody, that's where he's throwing it, right behind the head. Because then the first instinct is, ooh, I got to bail. And then,
wow. Kids, Little League World Series going on right now. Don't listen to this.
A little theater of the mind. I have a very specific image of that now. Don't
listen to Whitey.
Wild.
Coming up next, we bring up a version of the Eras conversation, and I run it back on
Taylor
something.
Swift?
No.
Okay.
And I run it back on something that I brought up to Whitey not too long ago. Has his thoughts changed? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
Subscribe to Sactown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sactown Sports.
At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, we make the dream of owning a new car easy and stress-free.
With prices that you just can't say no to. Save on our best selection of the year during the final days of the Honda Summer Event.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com. #1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company. Sold on report.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
When you switch and save with Progressive, you could use that money towards golf lessons to become a scratch golfer. Progressive cannot guarantee that you will ever become a scratch golfer. Scratch golfers are really, really good. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds on average, and sure, you could put that money towards lessons, but if you can't hit the broadside of a barn and think you're going to become a scratch golfer, you're delusional. Sorry, just telling it like it is. Savings? Maybe. Scratch golfer? Don't hold your breath. Switch and see if you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance and Affiliates. Not available in all states. It's universally accepted that golf is hard. Progressive cannot guarantee improved performance on the course.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
I occasionally have nerve discomfort in my hands, so the things I love to do
Let's play something, Grandma.
became difficult as I got older.
If you have occasional stabbing and burning in your hands and feet, try Nervive Nerve Relief. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use. Say yes to healthy nerves with Nervive Nerve Relief. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle.
Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle. This back-to-school season, Tide and Downy are giving back with $1.5 million in scholarships. Enter to win. No purchase necessary. US/DC 17+. End September 30th. Rules. Tide.com/scholarships/official rules.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sactown Sports 1140.
Sky's the limit at Sky River Casino in Elk Grove. Enjoy over 80 table games, more than 2,100 slot machines, and our thrilling high-limit room with Sky River rewards that add up and up, and 18 elevated restaurants and bars. There's something for everyone. Visit skyriver.com today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Live and local. Live and local.
This is Sactown Sports.
From the 916, I used to love when Ozzie Smith was doing cartwheels and backflips after starting double plays from Eli McFly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. No, you can't beat anybody.
But I think he did that when he would go on and off the field.
Yeah,
I don't think he like turned to and then, hey, what's
but
this?
But you could. Now we're talking about Savannah Bananas here. Now, that's where this thing is getting.
Dave was raving about the Savannah Bananas
Was
today.
he?
He was.
Did he go to when they were in Sacramento?
I don't know, but he seemed to know and he's right. I mean, they're incredible and they sell out every game.
Yeah. Well, there's the guy who he does the backflip as he's catching the pop fly in the outfield. It's ridiculous. And they keep on getting random former Major League Baseball players to play with them.
Right.
So, I mean,
they called you yet?
We're waiting for the call. I mean, it's basically what the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. That's what it is.
I guess so. I hadn't thought of it.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
The call is coming. So yeah, we're having some fun with Whitey Gleason here. Stiles and Watkins. Watkins will be back on Monday. And I wanted to ask you this,
I can
Whitey.
tell you're mad at him because you didn't say Chris will be back. You said Watkins will be back.
No, it's the show is. I said Chris like 8 times today. All right, don't try to start any drama here, Whitey. Maybe a couple months ago, I had a question that I asked you, and I said, "Hey, I'm not saying ever, but would you be comfortable saying that this Western Conference is one of the hardest Western conferences? I don't know, in the last couple decades, whatever, a very, very long time." And what you had said to me, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, was basically, I think there are a lot of really good teams, and I don't know if there are a lot of great teams. And we kind of went back and forth on the star power level. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, and I was talking to Brenden about this, when I look at this Kings roster and all of these different platforms the Kings have a top 15 shooting guard and Malik Monk and a top 10 point guard and De'Aaron Fox and a top, 5 center and Sabonis. And we're sitting here and DeMar DeRozan, right? A top 8 shooting guard there or small forward. And we know what Keegan Murray brings to the table. And we're sitting here and Vegas is giving them 46.5 wins and talking about trying to stay out of the play-in. And then I look around to the rest of the West, and basically you have to have 3 top 15 players at their respective position and maybe top 10 to actually be a true contender. And I just don't remember. And when you go through the West, the Nuggets, even the Pelicans, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, all these teams, they have the same thing. It just feels like this is a ridiculous time in the Western Conference.
My opinion is we have a lot in the West of very good teams, a lot of them. I don't know if we have, in my opinion, I don't think we have a great team. Dallas was the best team. Were they a great team? I don't think so. But it is so balanced right now with so many very good teams. I think the team with the best chance to bust out of the pack and be truly great is maybe OKC.
Because they're the youngest too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they still seem to be ascending. And for the most part, the other teams, maybe Minnesota, you could argue they're ascending with Dillingham. The other teams seem like they've hit a ceiling and now they're trying to sort it out. How do they stay there?
Right.
Denver being probably the best example.
Yes. They're trying to figure out, okay, what tweak gets us over the hump, but they're the closest to their ceiling. OKC was just the 1 seed and they're the furthest from their ceiling out of
maybe. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Out of the contending teams. But yeah, I was just thinking about it. I'm thinking, it sounds nice to say, and people will say, I mean, the Kings, they have all this. I had a buddy, and he's from the Bay Area, and that's essentially what he said. He said, "Hey, you guys have a top shooting or a top small forward shooting guard in DeMar DeRozan. You got De'Aaron Fox, you got Sabonis, you got Malik Monk, and he's talking to me. You guys love Keegan Murray out there. What are we talking about?" And it took me going through all the other rosters to say, that's just the price of admission in the West right now. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Who's your starter at the 2 guard right now? It's going
to be
Neon Keon.
Yeah. I'm really torn because I do think that Kevin Huerter is going to have a chip on his shoulder, but I've seen how Mike Brown is when he decides on a starter. So if it's Kevin Huerter, it's going to be Kevin Huerter for the first at least 30 to 40 games.
I know we talked about this before, and I think before you were on Keon Ellis and I was on Huerter, and now I've come around to your way of thinking because as you just mentioned, you look at the lineup, and obviously DeRozan needs touches. Keegan, you want him taking a lot of shots. Sabonis is very efficient, but you want to get him the ball. You want to get him his 12 to 15 shots a game or more when he's hot. De'Aaron Fox obviously needs the ball. I don't need somebody else who needs more touches. Typically, that guy that does the dirty work is a front court player like a 4. But what difference does it make if Keon Ellis can knock down shots when he gets them, but doesn't need the ball to be effective, and he's still going to play really good defense? I could see how that would fit.
Well, and I think one thing, people tend to put players in a box. If somebody says this guy's good at defense, what's the first thing you think? Well, he must not be good at offense. But Keon Ellis told the story of when he was at Bama, he was more of a scorer. So he came around, and maybe, his proficiency in scoring changed once he got to the NBA. But regardless, he figured out, okay, I need to defend at a high level. But he still has that core of being a scorer and a shooter. So when people get worried that, okay, Keon Ellis just got hot for a season, no, he's actually more of a shooter than you think. He is a 3-and-D guy through and through. So we shouldn't be too worried about it. But if he does get cold, I think people, and myself included, when Keon first came up, thought he was a taller Davion. Right? Okay, can he get hot? And we saw Davion get hot from 3 from time to time, but you're not going to count on it. He's actually a shooter. He is a better shooter. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's a better shooter than Davion. The problem is if he does get cold, then you still have his defense, which I think is the difference between him and Kevin Huerter. But I think both of them, the question is going to be how long of a leash does Mike Brown have on either of them, depending on if they're playing well or not.
Kevin Huerter, I know you guys have talked about it. I know Brendan's talked about it a lot. There's a number of things he could do. If he's close to what he had been a couple years ago, we may see him in the front court. I mean, his value is down, so it's hard to trade him. So what's the best way to maximize that asset? We'll keep him and see if he can restore his value and give you, some shooting. He worked on his rebounding. I think he could be a real key to improvement this year because last year he was not very good and he got hurt. So if he gets anywhere close to what he was, just that alone makes you that much better.
Yeah, and the whole thing was that it had been bugging him for a while, the shoulder thing with Kevin Huerter. So I think that he is a guy who, and it's funny when I brought up to Brendan that the 3 guys that have the most to show, not prove, but show, I said Mike Brown, I said De'Aaron Fox, and I said Keegan Murray. I actually didn't say Kevin Huerter. But
De'Aaron's an interesting one, and I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's now or never.
But I agree with it.
Yeah. I didn't have Kevin Huerter, but he might be 4th on that list. Not just for the Kings. I think for Kevin Huerter's career and trying to figure out, these guys that are prolific in shooting. That doesn't necessarily mean you are a starter in this league, and I think Kevin Huerter has to prove that he can be not just a starter, but even just a rotation guy in this league because we've seen, didn't Joe Harris just announce his retirement, but the Joe Harris
that was Joey Votto.
No, and Joey Votto
okay,
and Joey Votto and Pat Connaughton, right? Pat Connaughton, guys like that who someone's always going to want a shooter, but this idea that Kevin Huerter needs heavy minutes, I think that's what he has to show this season.
One thing I always think about when I think of Pat Connaughton, our friend, the guy we used to work with, Evan Giddings. We were talking about the NBA one time at a station where Al and I used to work. Evan Giddings goes, I was in a fantasy league with Pat Connaughton, and he never paid his dues, and he owes me money. And this was like after he signed, some massive deal.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. He knew somebody who worked for the Blazers, and that guy got him in this league, and I knew the guy, so I was in the league, and Pat Connaughton didn't pay his fantasy fees. I think the last time I asked him, he said, yeah, he finally paid up. But can you imagine that?
Is there anything worse? Because I don't know. Do you do fantasy, Whitey?
I haven't in a while.
But I was the commissioner of, I think, a March Madness pool, and it was a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. You don't feel you got to reach out and you're requesting it's just the worst.
Yeah. I was a commissioner for baseball fantasy a couple years. That was terrible. I just never updated. Guys like, hey, am I winning? I don't know. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Just check.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. Simone, isn't there allegedly a fantasy football? People are posting about their drafts. Are we doing one here or not?
Yeah, it's supposed to be your boy, Nate Dogg.
Oh.
That's supposed to be our commissioner, our commander-in-chief. Yeah.
We went with Nate, huh?
Is
that normally?
Do you feel protected? Do you feel entrusted?
Is that on purpose, or is he an alternate? Yeah.
Drapes is in a league, as he explained it. I think it's his son's league. I'm not sure. He said he's in a league with some younger guys. Their rule is, he's like, all right, I'll be in your league. I'll help you out. Their rule is the commissioner of the league, by virtue of being the commissioner, gets the first pick. He's like, what? That's a terrible rule.
Yeah, it depends on how much work you think a commissioner has to do. I'm not against it. I'm not against it.
That's got to be randomly selected, does it not?
Yeah, I was the first pick last season, and I did not. And I took Justin Jeff. You know what happened? I accidentally had on auto pick, and I didn't, because I never had really played fantasy before. Forgot how to turn it off, and I took Justin Jefferson and Jalen Hurts. It was a nightmare. It was a complete nightmare. That has been Stiles and Watkins. The Drive guys coming up next. Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper. Thank you to Simone. Great job as always. Thank you to all the callers, texters, sack chatters. And we will talk to you tomorrow. Thank you to Chris Biderman as well and Brenden Nunes. Until tomorrow, let's get the back like the beat.
You never know what you might hear when listening to a Sacramento Kings game.
Out of Keegan, going for another triple. Man, is he feeling it. Keegan, can he do it? Yes, there's number 11, Keegan Murray. Keegan steps back,